Chapter 1385. Sha Chongtian waved his saber at Night Sorrow. He already knew that Lin Qingyi was defeated and that there was an invincible monarch in the world of samsara. Sha Chongtian had his own analysis of strength. He was similar to Lin Qingyi, but he was good at different things. Lin Qingyi's style was light and flexible, while his style was bold and domineering. Their weapons clashed and then they were separated by the recoil. Yishang retreated a few feet and Sha Chongtian retreated even further. Strong power. Sha Chongtian's power was much stronger than Lin Qingyi's. His attribute was similar to Sandalwood's, which was evil spirit with dark intent. Evil spirit was a branch of the destruction attribute. Sandalwood was a blood evil spirit, which was actually a fire evil spirit. Sha Chongtian was a dark evil spirit. After the first collision, they had a better understanding of each other's strength and attack strength. Then they continued to fight. Night Sorrow was very confident. So what if Black Evil Spirit had an attribute? It was a branch of the destruction attribute, but it was a branch after all. It was only between the advanced attribute and the supreme attribute. It could not be compared with the supreme attribute. As they fought, Night Sorrow found that Sha Chongtian had also cultivated his body. Although he was not as strong as himself, he was much stronger than ordinary practitioners. After several rounds of probing, Night Sorrow immediately used his killer move, Death Annihilation Slash, followed by Soul Annihilation Slash and Crescent Moon Blade. It's time. The battle is about to end. After testing his strength, Night Sorrow will not fight with him anymore, Qing Emperor said. In fact, after testing Sha Chongtian's strength, Night Sorrow did not want to waste more time. He wanted to end the battle as soon as possible. After the black light of death destruction cut appeared, Sha Chongtian knew something was wrong. He growled and a black light appeared on his head and body. After Night Sorrow's great Death Annihilation Slash enveloped Sha Chongtian, the black light on his body spread out in all directions to resist this soul attack. Although it blocked the soul attack, it still affected time and space. Sha Chongtian's movement slowed down. At this time, Night Sorrow's space splitting also came to him. Sha Chongtian's reaction was slow, so he only managed to avoid being hit in the head, but his body was pierced through by the space splitter. With his body heavily injured, Sha Chongtian let out a low roar and swept his battle saber towards Yishan. Night Sorrow retreated, dodging the saber light attack. He then used Afterimage Body. His real body and Afterimage rushed forward, surrounding Sha Chongtian. His real body arrived behind Sha Chongtian and used Great Emperor Samsara Slash. Feeling the danger again, Sha Chongtian's body exploded with a bang, turning into a black fog, spreading in all directions. You are very strong. I have lost. I accept my loss wholeheartedly. I will go back and cultivate. I will come back to find you for another round in the future. A voice came from the black fog. Next, the black fog dispersed. This is the baleful chi body of the destruction branch. The price of using this move is similar to dying. The only difference is that the soul is intact, Sandalwood said. He also cultivated the destruction branch, so he knew very well. What are the levels of Father and his opponent? Spatial cracks kept appearing during the battle, as if they were going to destroy everything, Yi Qinyan said in surprise. Later, Master Granny will tell you that the army war is about to begin, Misty Rain said. Divine Temple Army, you have been killing and plundering in the world of samsara. Today we will not be polite. Nine Heavens Army, I am invincible. Kill. Night Sorrow waved the space splitter and attacked the commander of the Divine Temple Army. The commander of the Divine Temple Army was dumbfounded. The battle between Night Sorrow and Sha Chongtian was too fast. The army had just gained a foothold and the battle was already over. Sha Chongtian was defeated, thoroughly defeated. The members of the Martial Sacred Hall knew very well what kind of person Sha Chongtian was. He was the strongest person under the Martial Sacred Hall Sky Pillar and had the record of killing a sovereign king. However, he was defeated now. Even if he was defeated, no one could deny Sha Chongtian's strength and ability. While the commander of the Divine Temple Army was still in a daze, Night Sorrow appeared in front of him and used the space splitter with the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash. Night Sorrow knew very well that Sha Chongtian and the commander of the Divine Temple Army were the two most important people. One was brave, the other was wise. Sha Chongtian was famous for his bravery, and could kill the experts of the Divine Temple Army. The commander of the Divine Temple Army was the core of the army. With the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash, Night Sorrow sent the commander of the Divine Temple Army flying and chopped off one of his arms. Then, Night Sorrow used the space splitter with the death-shattering slash, killing the commander of the Divine Temple Army. 2 moves, Night Sorrow killed the commander of the Divine Temple Army in just 2 moves. After Night Sorrow took the Legion commander's storage ring with his left hand, he charged into the ranks of the Divine Hall Legion and started killing. Night Sorrow did not fight blindly. He chose the toughest opponents and killed the opponent's monarch. If the opponent did not have a monarch, the Nine Heavens army would have no pressure. The only authentic version, the others were all. It was the pirated version. The strongest warrior of the Divine Temple Army, Shachongtian, was defeated. The commander of the Divine Temple Army was killed, and a few monarchs died in the hands of Night Sorrow. The soldiers of the Nine Heavens army were in high spirits. The 7 armies surrounded the Divine Temple Army and started to kill them. The atmosphere was completely opposite. Night Sorrow's battle effect destroyed the enemy's morale and raised the Nine Heavens army's battle intent. Therefore, the battle strength of the 2 sides was completely different. The members of the Divine Temple Army were killed continuously. Some of them had already knelt on the ground and raised their weapons to surrender. The Divine Temple Army that once suppressed all the armies of the reincarnation world is nothing in front of Night Sorrow, said the precious fragrance Heaven Lord. It was a one-sided massacre. The core of the Divine Temple Army was killed, and there was no commander left. They were scattered like sand. After fighting for 2 hours, except for a portion that escaped, most of the Divine Temple Army was killed. This was a battle of annihilation. Since the beginning of the Realm War, both sides had victories and losses. The Shinwu Great World had occupied a large territory, but they had not been able to destroy any army. Now that Night Sorrow had returned and led the Nine Heavens army to battle, the Divine Temple Army was heavily injured and almost completely destroyed. It could be said that the Divine Temple Army was destroyed. After the battle ended, Night Sorrow checked the losses and cleaned up the battlefield. He flew to the top of the city gate. Father, thank you for your hard work. Have some tea. Yi Qingyan poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, well done. The Divine Temple Army is destroyed. They were the most rampant before, but now they have been destroyed, said the Red Emperor. Not bad. The 2 battles with the Sky Moon Army and the Divine Temple Army will probably make the Shinwu Great World behave, said Night Sorrow. What do you plan to do next? Asked the Qing Emperor. He looked at Night Sorrow and asked, Wait here. I will lead the Nine Heavens army to set up camp here. If they can't take us down, they won't be able to continue the battle, so they will definitely attack, said Night Sorrow after drinking a mouthful of water. But the 3rd update has arrived. There will be an explosion today. The update will be released at 3 in the afternoon, 7 in the afternoon, and 9 in the evening. Thank you for unblocking the 2 numbers. Chapter 1386. That was the truth. What they were fighting for now was momentum. Yi Shang had led the Nine Heaven army to take down the Sky Moon army and the Divine Temple army. This was to tell the 2 worlds that they were stronger than them. If they wanted to win the Realm War, they had to defeat them first. I'll stay here with the Nine Heavens army. Come. This was what Night Sorrow meant. Then what if their entire army comes? Red Emperor asked. That's simple. Our army will come as well. Now everyone better follow the plan. Otherwise I won't be polite. I'm also good at crooked methods, Night Sorrow said as he took a sip of tea. Then inform all the armies to reinforce Scarlet Origin City at any time, Qing Emperor said. After communicating with the Heaven Masters present, Night Sorrow returned to the camp. Nu Lin, how are our losses? Night Sorrow asked. There aren't many losses. Our Nine Heavens army has been fighting, and our combined attacks are very effective. There are some injuries but very few deaths, Nu Lin reported. That's good. We'll set up camp here and wait for them to come and kill us, Night Sorrow said. Nu Lin and the others nodded. They understood Night Sorrow's thoughts. At this time, the news of Night Sorrow's 2 victories had already spread. The morale of the realm of reincarnation was soaring. At the Thunder Cliff, Heaven Lord Shin had also called for a meeting. The Sky Moon Pavilion isn't very brave. They retreated after being defeated once. Now let's not talk about our losses. The main thing is that our morale has dropped. We have to fight back, Heaven Lord Shin said. #C*original plus L chapter. Heaven Lord Shin wore a golden battle armor. His golden hair draped behind his head, and his eyes shone with an ominous light. He was a mutated beast, the heaven-devouring tiger. He had always been able to fight above his level. However, this time he hadn't been able to defeat Dachira. He had a very strong reputation in the Shinwu Great World. Even those who weren't part of the Martial War Alliance didn't dare to provoke him. He was overbearing and unreasonable. We have to destroy Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens army. Only then can we advance, Heaven Lord Shinhu said. Heaven Lord Shinhu, Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens Army are camped in Scarlet Origin City. Our sovereigns and armies will charge over there and crush them. Martial God Shiyang said. He was furious because Sha Chongtian was the disciple of the Martial God Palace's palace master. He had invited him out, but now he was heavily injured. Tiger. Flying. Heaven Lord. That was the truth. After Night Sorrow defeated the Marquis of Light and Sha Chongtian, his original body cultivating in the Samsara Palace had benefited. He had benefited twice, and each time his light of merit had become more exuberant. Night Sorrow had the foundation of the body of merit, which was different from the others. Others who participated in the realm war only had merit for the world of Samsara, but it was not merit. The only benefit was the blessing of fate. However, Night Sorrow had the blessing of the light of merit. Night Sorrow's doppelganger also had a change. His original body didn't feel anything, but Night Sorrow's doppelganger felt very strong. This result made Night Sorrow very happy. If this continued, his light of virtue in the world of reincarnation would also level up. He would become a light of virtue saint. Night Sorrow was a light of virtue saint in the Nine Domains world, but not in the world of reincarnation. If he was a light of virtue saint in the world of reincarnation, then he would be very powerful. Night Sorrow knew that the light of virtue saint was not the end of the light of virtue body. The light of virtue body was the lowest level after cultivating the heart and virtue. Next was the light of virtue saint, light of virtue supreme saint, and light of virtue heaven lord. At the level of light of virtue supreme saint, it didn't belong to a certain world. It belonged to the entire great thousand world. It wasn't the recognition of the world's origin, but the recognition of the great thousand world's heavenly Tao. Even if the light of virtue saint didn't have cultivation, he was still a king among saints. Even without cultivation, saints and saint kings were no match for him. The light of virtue supreme saint was equivalent to the same level as the king and the monarch. His words were the law. His words were the will and rules of the heavenly Tao. The light of virtue heaven lord was a level beyond the level of cultivation. Cultivating one's heart and morals usually started from a young age. Night Sorrow started from the Nine Regions world, and then he started from the Nine Firmament world, and now the Reincarnation Great World. Night Sorrow felt that it was about time. With one more light of virtue, he would be able to become a saint in the world of reincarnation. At this time, in the backyard of Scarlet Origin City's City Lord Mansion, Yi Qingyan brewed some tea. Mistress, can you tell us about my father's situation? We don't know and we don't understand. He's too good of a son and daughter. Then are you ready? Let me tell you about the world. A low-level world uses a high-level world as its core. A group of high-level worlds forms a world group. The core of a high-level world group is a great world. Our world group uses the reincarnation great world as its core. Your father is the fastest cultivator in the reincarnation great world for countless years, said Heavenly Monarch Yufei. Ah. The most outstanding cultivator in the world of reincarnation for countless years? Yi Yujun was dumbfounded. Yes. In the history of the world of reincarnation, the fastest cultivator to become a king was 300 years. The fastest cultivator to become a monarch was 130,000 years. Do you know how old your father is now? Qing Emperor asked with a smile. 130 years. But with time acceleration he can cultivate faster. Yi Qingyan said. Time acceleration is a rule, a space-time rule. It has nothing to do with one's age in the real world. In other words, your father became a monarch in 130 years. Also, he cultivated the body of virtue and virtue. Now, do you understand what it means to help your father? Qing Emperor smiled at Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan. Father is a monarch? He's at the same level as Monarch Shen Tian of the mysterious sky world and Monarch Shen Shao of the nine cloud world? Yi Qingyan was astonished. Don't judge it like that. It's not the same thing. Monarch Shen Tian and Monarch Shen Shao are stronger, but they're only at the middle level of monarchs. Your father can kill high-level monarchs as easily as taking something out of his pocket. The man in black armor today is the monarch of the martial sacred palace. He's known as the invincible monarch. You saw the result of his battle with your father. Qing Emperor said with a smile. Night Sorrow was not only the pride of his children, but also the pride of his master. Father is so powerful now, but why doesn't he tell us? Yi Qingyan whispered. Your father doesn't have it easy. He doesn't tell you because he doesn't want you to bear the pressure. Said. Fourth Watch. Chapter 1387. Yes. Because your father thinks that as long as he does well, you will have a stable sky and an environment where you can live in peace. He doesn't want you to feel pressured, Misty Rain said. Father's life is too hard. In order to have the right to speak in this world, one has to be a leader. Father has to suffer, Yi Qingyan murmured. Her heart ached for her father. Ah, right to speak? Your father already has it. Your father has an undefeated record against leaders. Qing Emperor, Misty Rain, let me bring these two kids to have dinner with their father. Let's go together. Datura said after entering the courtyard. Qing Emperor and Misty Rain nodded. Datura arranged a banquet in the tent of the military camp. Qing Lin and Qing Wan were there as well. Have you two mobilized the army? The war might break out at any time, Qing Emperor asked as he looked at his children. Qing Emperor only sat down after getting an affirmative answer. During dinner, everyone chatted casually. Qing Wan told Qing Yin and Yu Jun about Night Sorrow's past, as they were more interested in Night Sorrow's past. Night Sorrow stopped her, but Qing Emperor felt that it was necessary to tell his children so that they could understand some things. Father, you're so amazing. Why didn't you tell us? Yi Qingyin, who was sitting beside Night Sorrow, said with tears in her eyes. All along, she and Yi Yujun had thought that everything was fine with their father being the Imperial Highness of the Azure Emperor Empire. However, the truth was that there were too many difficulties behind the scenes. Now, they understood how many hardships there were behind the imposing figure who could carry the sky. Don't think too much. Just be yourselves. Seeing that you two are doing well, any effort I put in is worth it. Night Sorrow patted Yi Qingyin's shoulder. Look at what little Jay said. After the banquet was over, Qing Emperor and Misty Rain left with Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyin. It wasn't appropriate for them to stay in the barracks because they didn't know when a battle would break out. Night Sorrow took out the 9 heavy armor and planned to repair it. The 9 heavy armor was damaged during the battle with Hu Shao and the other 2 sovereigns. Over the past few years, he had been imprisoned by Datura Chinensis. His dantian was sealed so he could not repair the 9 heavy armor. He felt that in 2 or 3 days the Shinwu Great World would mobilize troops. There would not be any war, so he took the time to fix it. Before, Wu Lingfei had given him the Golden Phoenix soft armor. For a period of time, he couldn't use it because Wu Lingfei's life treasure as a Saint King couldn't support King's battle. Now that Wu Lingfei was king, the Golden Phoenix soft armor's level naturally increased. This was because Night Sorrow, who was already an advanced Heavenly Master blacksmith, was capable of repairing a monarch weapon. King weapons were divided into beginner king weapons, intermediate king weapons, and advanced king weapons. Monarch weapons were actually top king weapons. The weapons and armor used by Heaven Masters were also at this level. Night Sorrow used half a day to repair the 9 heavy armor. Then Night Sorrow sensed his own situation. With the increase in light of virtue, his soul defense had become stronger. It could be said that he was immune to some soul attacks. Cultivator's fatal injuries usually came from 2 places, the soul and the body. Now Night Sorrow felt that he had no problems with both. His body's toughness was at the peak of the Star Monarch rank. With the support of the power of Desolates, even monarchs and high-level monarchs couldn't pierce through his body. As for soul defense, Night Sorrow had the 9-region origin pearl. It was a treasure that protected the soul. Outside of the deity ocean, there was also light of virtue. This was his defense. Of course, there were many factors that determined the outcome of a battle, such as speed, strength, elemental restriction, and the power of absolute skills. Night Sorrow was organizing what he had learned every day. Nu Lin and the others were still training the soldiers. The main focus was on formation attack. With formation attack, both offense and defense could be combined. One day, when Night Sorrow was trying to guide the light of virtue into his body to cultivate, Sandalwood came with 2 jars of wine. "Junior brother, I'm here," Sandalwood said after entering the tent. "Senior brother, take a seat. I've been busy recently, so I haven't had the chance to talk to you," Night Sorrow greeted him. "I know you're busy, so I came to give you wine. I feel that there are gains and losses in life. I've always wanted to fight side by side with you. Of course, it's worth celebrating that you've become a Sky Master, but I've lost the opportunity, haven't I?" Sandalwood said. "There will be another chance. I can't fight at a lower level. Besides, the Monarch realm isn't the end of my cultivation," Night Sorrow said with a smile. "That's right. When you become a Sky Master, we'll fight side by side. We can go anywhere in the world. We'll kill anyone who disagrees," Sandalwood said with a smile. This was Sandalwood's dominance. "You're right, senior brother." Night Sorrow nodded. After opening the jar and drinking 2 mouthfuls of wine, Sandalwood asked Night Sorrow what would happen next. Senior apprentice brother, the main thing is to watch my battle with Prince Jianhu. If I defeat him, then they will either cease their banners and cease their drums and engage in small-scale harassment battles, or they will erupt into a battle of the highest level. Night Sorrow spoke of his own feelings and judgment. Junior brother, you can fight Mandala Shura without losing. This shows your strength. No matter how strong Prince Jianhu is, he can't win against the Sky Master, right? That's why I have confidence in you. Also, the world of Samsara isn't afraid of the Sky Master. So what? The Dark Dominator can suppress him. As for the other Sky Masters, I can kill whoever I want. They know the difference in strength, so they won't do it easily. We have fewer Sky Masters, but Origin Dao Heavenly Lord can fight at any time. He's sent a letter to Master so he can send a message whenever he's needed. He's also a powerful Sky Master, Sandalwood said. Just as Night Sorrow and Sandalwood were talking, Jun Xuanji entered the tent. Commander, there's someone outside the camp. It's the commander of the Yuanchu army. That's a guest. I'll go and welcome him. Night Sorrow stood up. Night Sorrow had interacted with Origin Dao Heavenly Lord before, and he had the map to Origin Dao Heavenly Lord. Therefore he had a good impression of Origin Dao Heavenly Lord. Outside the camp, Night Sorrow saw a man in golden armor. Yu Feng greets your highness Night Sorrow. The man in golden armor cupped his hands at Night Sorrow. Commander Yu Feng, you're too courteous. Please come in. Night Sorrow invited the man in golden armor, who was Yu Feng, into the main tent. Yu Feng greets Lord Blood Emperor. Yu Feng immediately bowed when he saw Sandalwood. Although Blood Emperor Sandalwood was a newly ascended Heavenly Lord, he was already a mainstay of the world of Samsara. No need to be so courteous. I used to be a commander of an army. I happen to have some wine. Come, let's drink. Sandalwood nodded at Yu Feng. All right, Yu Feng, tell me why you're here. It's like this. Master has already sent a message for Yu Feng to listen to your highness orders. Even if the entire army is wiped out, we can't go against your highness orders, Yu Feng said. Why would the Heavenly Lord make such an arrangement? Night Sorrow was stunned. But here's the fifth update. There are thousands of people reading books every day, but less than 1,000 people log in to read books. If you don't log in, you won't be able to sign in or rub elbows. How can there be data for becoming a god through 10,000 paths? I'm working very hard. I don't need everyone's financial support. I just need to do my best. If you like becoming a god through 10,000 paths, you have to do something. I'm an author, so I'll do my best. Brothers and sisters, please move your fingers. Log in, sign in, and rub elbows. The next update will be at 5 p.m. Chapter 1388. There must be a reason for Master's arrangement. I'll just carry it out. Besides, I'm excited to be able to fight alongside His Highness. It's been too stressful recently. We monarchs can't beat them and the army can't fight. Although we're not afraid of death, we can't let our soldiers die for nothing, said Yu Feng. We're all leaders. It's our duty to cherish our soldiers. They're all brothers. I understand. Come, let's drink. Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine. Night Sorrow drank all the wine he had in the black water space. However, there was still some in Sky City and Aoi gave him some. After drinking, Yu Feng went to gather the army. All the armies in the world of Samsara were gathering in Red Origin City. Yu Feng is quite capable. He managed the Yuanchu army well. The strongest army is the 9 Heaven Army, followed by the Demon Blood Army and Yuanchu Army. Yu Feng's fighting ability is weaker, but he's good at staying alive. Many monarchs were killed by Prince Jianhu, but he managed to stay alive under Prince Jianhu's attack. This is enough to show that he's not ordinary, said Sandalwood. Night Sorrow wasn't around for a few years, so he didn't know much. However, Sandalwood knew everything. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. It's fine as long as they're outstanding. Night Sorrow nodded. Junior brother, it's up to you now, said Sandalwood. My battle with Prince Jianhu might be the turning point of the realm war. If we can defeat him, Shinwu Great World won't be able to do much in the world of Samsara. Then it's time for us to strike. They've been attacking us for 5 or 6 years. It's time for us to fight back, said Night Sorrow. Fight back? Yes, we have to fight back. It's not in our nature to be passive. We have to fight back. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Sandalwood was excited. He stood up and waved his arms. Then he sighed and sat down. Night Sorrow asked in confusion. So what if he's a Sky Master? I feel that even if he's a monarch, it's good enough that he can fight side by side with his brothers, Sandalwood said. He knew that there weren't many occasions when Sky Masters fought against each other. After all, the implications were too great. Senior brother, there's no rush. We have time to fight side by side. Night Sorrow understood Sandalwood. Sandalwood was a casual person. Soon after, Datura entered the tent. He wasn't surprised to see Sandalwood. Because Night Sorrow cared about Night Sorrow's feelings, she got along well with Qing Emperor, Misty Rain, and Sandalwood. Lord Ruler, you're here. Have a seat, Sandalwood greeted. Blood Emperor, you can call me whatever you call Chuyu and the others. Datura cupped his hands towards Jean Tan. That's not good. Sandalwood shook her head. Although they were Sky Masters at the same level now, Datura had suppressed a region for countless years. He should be considered a senior. There's nothing bad about it. Night Sorrow, this is all the information on Prince Jianhu. You defeated Qing Yi Marquis and Sha Chong Tian. Prince Jianhu and the others must have studied you. You should know more about them too, Datura said as he sat down. And thank you for your hard work, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're too polite with me. Also, Yao Shui and Sha Shui will report to you tomorrow. The Sha Shui army and Devil Blood army will be under your command. Datura threw out another sentence. Is that appropriate? I can lead the Nine Heavens army and fight against them. Night Sorrow looked away from the materials and looked at Datura. What are you thinking? It's not because you're my husband. It's because the army needs your command. Do you think I'm living off you? Can you stop joking? Datura said with a smile. I have to hand it to the two of you. What level are you at? Why are you still talking about living off me? Sandalwood couldn't help but laugh. All right then. The war is imminent. It'll be much more convenient to have a few armies to work with me. If the Nine Heavens army fights alone, we'll suffer great losses. I won't be able to rest easy. Night Sorrow nodded. In fact, he was worried. If it weren't for the many armies working together, the Nine Heavens army wouldn't be able to hold on. Even if they could, they would suffer great losses. Those were his brothers. After Sandalwood left, Datura and Night Sorrow chatted for a while before leaving as well. Night Sorrow started cultivating. His current body was the indestructible body. He planned to create his own technique and cultivate the true indestructible golden body. The first level of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome was the indestructible body, also known as the indestructible golden body. Actually, it was not the golden body. The golden body of merit was the real golden body. Therefore, he planned to integrate the light of merit into his body. That way, when combined with the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome, he would have the real indestructible golden body. Night Sorrow tried to drive the golden light of virtue into his body. Slowly, it worked with the power of desolates to circulate throughout his body. After cultivating the 8 trigrams of virtue, Night Sorrow gained some insights. However, he felt that it wasn't enough. The golden light of virtue could only protect his spirit sea. If he wanted to protect his body, it wasn't enough. Look at the original version. Chapter Super Night Sorrow stood up and cultivated an array outside the tent. At this moment someone came in. Yao Shui, Shi Shui, Akatsuki, Yufeng, and another person, Chiu He, was the commander of the Sima army in the Sima residence. The commanders of the various armies in the world of Samsara had all arrived. They had all received instructions from their leaders to listen to Night Sorrow's orders. Brothers, I won't be polite. Everyone prepare for battle. Commander Yufeng, lead the Yuanshu army and Nine Heavens army to face the enemy head-on. The Skyheart army and Sima army will be on the left. The Bloodthirsty army and Black Demon army will be on the right. Night Sorrow said. Sir, don't be like this. What will the Yao Shui army do then? We are very strong. The Yao Shui army commander, who looked like a gentleman, was a little anxious because there was no mission for them. Of course there is a mission. I know the Yao Shui army. The soldiers of the Yao Shui army have all cultivated the wind travel technique. They are the fastest. If there are any changes, you will cut off the enemy's retreat. Night Sorrow looked at the Yao Shui army and said, the mission will be completed. The Yao Shui army said, Xuanji, take out the formation diagrams for the combined attack. Give the formation diagrams for the 3-person and 4-person combined attacks to the commanders. The Dark Abyss army has cultivated these 2 formations before, so give them the 5-person combined attack formation diagrams. Let them cultivate as much as they can in the next 2 days, Yi Shang said to Jun Xuanji. Okay. Jun Xuanji nodded. She knew that this was Night Sorrow's big picture vision. He was willing to contribute. Okay, you all go and make the arrangements now. I will go and make some arrangements. Night Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow planned to use the formation battle during the army battle. He planned to first eliminate a portion of the Shinwu Great World's army strength. This way, when they attacked the Shinwu Great World, there would be much less resistance. After instructing the commanders to make the arrangements, Knight Sorrow rode the ice Qilin and left. Then he estimated the location and began to set up the formation. The Azure Supreme, the Arch, and the others looked at Yi Shang's deployment and did not express any opinions. The sixth update has arrived. Chapter 1389. Knight Sorrow estimated the position the Nine Heavens army could occupy based on their current positions. Then he started to set up the formation. Knight Sorrow rode the ice Qilin to set up the spell formations. It took him only half a day to finish setting up the Heaven Sealing Trapping and Killing spell formations and the Heaven Sealing Illusionary Killing spell formations. Seeing that there were no problems, Knight Sorrow called back Xia Cheng, Xian Daozi, and Shengguan Hong, who were standing guard outside. "Uncles, let's go back and drink some tea," Knight Sorrow called out. "I want to drink some good tea," Summer City said with a laugh. The tense atmosphere before the battle was nowhere to be seen. After returning to the command tent and drinking some tea, Knight Sorrow went to check on the various camps. Seeing that everyone was cultivating their joint attack formations, Knight Sorrow did not disturb them. He returned to the main tent and continued cultivating. Currently, Knight Sorrow had many ways to increase his strength, but he could not do so. He could refine the soul cultivation liquid, but his main body was in a state of enlightenment. He could not do anything else. While Knight Sorrow was cultivating, the various armies were preparing for war. Inside Scarlet Origin City's City Lord's office, spies were constantly coming in to report the situation. After summarizing the information, Qing Emperor looked at the other Heaven Masters and said, "Knight Sorrow's calculations were correct. The other side did not continue fighting elsewhere. Their forces are now gathered in Three Peak City. Their next target is Scarlet Origin City." Knight Sorrow defeated Lin Qingyi and Sha Chongtian. This is a signal. If we don't fight and take down Knight Sorrow, then the following attacks will be useless. We won't be able to win the war. If we don't deal with Knight Sorrow and the Nine Heaven Army, no matter how much territory you conquer, our world of samsara will still take it back, Sima Tianqing said. "What's going on? A world war between two worlds and we can only watch as a youngster carries the burden. This is simply unacceptable," Red Emperor said. "Capable people do more work. If he can do it, others can't. What can we do?" Sima Tianqing said. "This is a hurdle for our world of samsara. It is also a hurdle for Knight Sorrow's team. We know that Knight Sorrow is strong, but Prince Zhan, who is also an undefeated monarch. Many of our monarchs have been killed by him, and this is under the circumstances that we are fighting conservatively. If we fight fiercely, who knows how many of our monarchs will die." Misty Rain said. Everyone knew of Knight Sorrow's strength, but Prince Zhan, whose strength was not to be underestimated. He was the world's #1 monarch, an undefeated monarch. At this moment, in the study room of the City Lord residence in Three Peak City, Heaven Monarch Xin Hu and Prince Zhan who were talking. "Son, you have to be careful. That Knight Sorrow is not simple. Up until now, no one has figured it out. If I'm not wrong, he has the Void attribute. As for which branch he belongs to, it's hard to say, so you have to be careful. Kill him, and then our Shinwu Great World's offensive will be able to develop." Prince Zhan who said. For countless years, there had not been a complete supreme attribute born, so Prince Zhan who did not think in that direction. "I understand. If I can contribute to the world war, I will be able to receive the blessings of the Shinwu Great World. Then I might be able to improve." Prince Zhan who said. "That's right. The blessings of luck are very important. This time Father made a mistake. He did not think that the opponent's Death Master and Blood Emperor Sandalwood would be so strong. It will be difficult for us Heaven Masters to win this war. So we can only rely on you and the army." Prince Zhan who said. There were more Heaven Masters in the Shinwu Great World than in the Reincarnation Great World. However, in terms of individual battle strength, Datura and Sandalwood were strong. The Qing Emperor and Sima Tianqing were not to be trifled with either. There was also another strong Prince Yuan Dao who had not yet joined the battle. Knight Sorrow was also studying Prince Zhan Hu's situation. After looking at the information, Knight Sorrow was stunned. Prince Zhan Hu's willpower and attributes were similar to his. Lord God who was a heaven-devouring tiger who had attained the Tao through cultivation. His son and grandson had extremely strong cultivation talent and also had absolute arts. The absolute art's name was Heaven Devouring. The Heaven Devouring tiger's attribute was time, and the absolute art was a space-time absolute art. They had a space in their bodies. If they were attacked by their absolute art and could not block it, they would be sucked into their internal space and be annihilated. Even if they were not sucked into their internal space, they would still be affected and killed. Night Sorrow thought for a while. He felt that he had the will of space-time, time and space attributes. The opponent's absolute art would not affect him much. In addition, the heaven-devouring tiger's speed and strength were also very strong. However, Night Sorrow was not afraid of them. Strength was his forte. With a space attribute protective shield, Night Sorrow was not afraid of anyone in terms of speed. Commander, the people from the Shinwu Great World have arrived. However, they are moving slowly. They are advancing steadily and are integrating as they advance. They should arrive in 2 days. Jun Xuanji entered the tent and reported the information he had received. 2 days? That's fine. The Reincarnation Great World's army's combined attacks should be somewhat effective, Night Sorrow said. Isn't it a little rushed? Jun Xuanji asked. It's fine. It's not difficult to cultivate the combined attacks of 3 and 4 people. These soldiers are all very high level. It's not a problem for them to cultivate the combined attacks, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow did not hide anything and took out the combined attacks because he did not want to see too many people die. He also wanted to prepare for a counterattack. The current battlefield was in the Reincarnation World. To the Reincarnation World there was no way they could win. Therefore, Night Sorrow planned to kill his way out after resolving the war in the Reincarnation World. When the war started, Night Sorrow's plan to send a Heaven Master to the Shinwu Great World to attack the War Tiger Empire's main city had been put on hold. This was because no one wanted to start a war between Heaven Masters. If they fought, both sides would have no bottom line and the war would be out of control. If there's nothing else, I'll continue to collect information. You be careful, Jun Xuanji said and left the command tent. At this moment, Qing Lin and Qing Wan came and entered the tent. Junior brother, why didn't you give us a mission? Qing Lin asked. Even if you didn't come, I would have looked for you. Men, informed the commander of the Red Emperor's empire, Chiwa, to come over. Night Sorrow said to the messenger soldier at the door. After Chiwa came, Night Sorrow told him his second plan. Senior sister Qing Wan, senior brother Qing Lin, Prince Chiwa, I've received news that the Shinwu Great World's army has gathered at the Three Peak City. This means that they have no time to care about other places. The 3 of you will lead the army to battle and conquer the areas that the Reincarnation World has occupied, Night Sorrow said. Qing Lin, Qing Wan, and Chiwa all wanted to see how Night Sorrow would fight to the death with the War Tiger Prince. However, Night Sorrow had given them a mission and they had to carry it out. After Qing Lin, Qing Wan, and Chiwa left, Night Sorrow continued to study the use of the Light of Merit. The conquest battle had begun. Qing Lin, Qing Wan, and Chiwa led their troops and began to conquer the occupied areas. Head Z issue the people of the Shinwu Great World didn't react when they received the news because that wasn't important. Only the battle at Red Origin City could change the situation. But the 7th update has arrived. There are still 3 updates to be completed before 10 o'clock. Chapter 1390. Night Sorrow didn't react to the arrival of the Shinwu Great World's army. The various armies were already fully prepared for war. Night Sorrow was concerned about whether the formation he had set up had been discovered. The Shinwu Great World's army was advancing at an extremely slow speed. They were integrating their forces as they advanced. Integration was an indispensable part of a joint battle. Night Sorrow had already completed the integration of the Reincarnation World's army. However, the Shinwu Great World's army still needed time to integrate. Previously they were all fighting individually. Now that they needed a large-scale joint battle, they needed to be integrated and mobilized. Everyone knew that the Battle of Scarlet Origin City would be recorded in history. It was a heavy stroke because this battle would change the situation of the war. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. Perhaps the opponent's army's combat strength would increase after they were integrated. However, this situation also existed in the Reincarnation World's army. Moreover, the Reincarnation World's army's combat strength had more room for improvement compared to the Shinwu Great World's army. This was because they were all cultivating the joint attack formation. The Reincarnation World's army was stationed outside Scarlet Origin City. The Heaven Masters were all on the city gate. If it wasn't a battle between Heaven Masters, they could only watch without any room to make a move. When Night Sorrow wasn't around, they had to make arrangements for the army's mobilization. Now that these matters were handed over to Night Sorrow, they didn't care and didn't ask about it. Qing Emperor, Our Sima Manor has benefited from you this time. After learning your joint attack formation, we will definitely make it up to you in the future. Sima Tianqing said. Red Emperor and Li Badian also had the same thoughts. The joint attack formation wasn't that difficult, but no one had researched it. Now that their army was cultivating the joint attack formation, it was a favor. Actually, the level of the joint attack formation isn't very high. However, I've seen it and its effects are indeed very strong. Why didn't I think of this problem before? Red Emperor said. You have to return this favor to Night Sorrow. The joint attack formation is his, not mine. Qing Emperor said. His combat strength is outstanding, and his style of doing things is domineering. With such a personality he can still study array formations? Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance said in astonishment. Not only is he good at research but he's also very accomplished. He's already an advanced Heavenly Adept Array Master. He's also an artifact refiner and alchemist, Qing Emperor said with a smile. All-round development. That is very tiring. However, if you achieve something you don't have to ask for help, the Red Emperor said with a smile. Then I'll show off to you guys. Night Sorrow is also an advanced Heavenly Adept Weapon Forger and Alchemist. You guys can go to him if you need anything, but if you want to work for him, you'll have to pay the price, Qing Emperor said. Qing Emperor, when it comes to recruiting disciples, no one can compare to you. Sima Tianqing said with a smile. How many disciples have each of you taken in? Took me so many years to get to. It's not easy, the Qing Emperor said. Seeing that the enemy's army was advancing slowly, Night Sorrow ignored them and returned to his tent to continue cultivating the indestructible golden body of merit. Although he didn't have enough light of merit, Night Sorrow's body had been baptized by the light of merit. His energy circulation was also filled with a majestic aura. On this day Night Sorrow had just finished cultivating when a guest came. It was the Marquis of Qingyi, Lin Qingyi from the Shenwu Great World's Heavenly Moon Pavilion. What are you doing here? Night Sorrow asked Lin Qingyi after hearing Jun Xuanji's report. To watch the battle. Lin Qingyi spat out 2 words. That's because it's appropriate to go there, right? Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. It's not appropriate. Because the Heavenly Moon Pavilion withdrew from the realm war, they are now more hostile towards each other. What? Don't you have the magnanimity and courage to do so? Lin Qingyi, who was wearing a red robe and a white veil, asked. Yes, please. Night Sorrow nodded. He saw that Lin Qingyi's eyes were very clear and felt that she didn't have any ulterior motives. Night Sorrow brought Lin Qingyi to the command tent and made a pot of tea. He didn't say anything. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion has all retreated and won't participate in the realm war. So you don't have to look at me with hostility. I'm here to see if the first monarch of the world of Samsara or the Shenwu Great World is more powerful, Lin Qingyi said. You'll be viewed as an enemy. People in the Shenwu Great World will think that you're a traitor. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Qingyi and said. I have a clear conscience. I don't care. Lin Qingyi said. If you don't care, I don't care either. Xuanji, since you're here, you're a guest. I'll arrange accommodation for you next to your tent later, Night Sorrow joked. Night Sorrow didn't care about Lin Qingyi. Lin Qingyi stayed in the 9 Heavens Army's camp alone. Night Sorrow knew that she wasn't a spy and didn't ask about it. She could do whatever she wanted. After a day, while Night Sorrow was reading information about the Shenwu Great World, Lin Qingyi came to Night Sorrow's command tent. She made tea for herself and poured a cup for Night Sorrow. If you can take down Prince Zhanhu, you'll win the realm war if there are no changes. Starter square root, hee how did you come to such a conclusion? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Your 9 Heavens Army is very strong. No other army in the Shenwu Great World can compare to it. Whether it's power or spirit, it's all on point, Lin Qingyi said. Thank you for your praise of my brother. Yi Shan cupped his hands towards Lin Qingyi. I'm just speaking the truth. After the war, you can come to the Shenwu Great World. I, Lin Qingyi, will take care of you, Lin Qingyi said. I have to go. The war won't end so easily, Night Sorrow said. You want to fight? Lin Qingyi was stunned when she heard Night Sorrow's words. She thought of something. Since you've guessed it, I won't hide it from you. Do you think we'll just take a beating and be done with it? Either they completely defeat us or they don't defeat us and beat us up and then they just walk away? That's impossible, Night Sorrow said. That's the reason. I have nothing to say. Lin Qingyi sighed. If Tianyue Pavilion doesn't join in, I can make the decision that the Reincarnation World's army won't enter Tianyue Pavilion's territory, Night Sorrow said. Tianyue Pavilion doesn't do shameless things. A loss is a loss. If you kill without a bottom line, we won't do anything. My master's side will also have the same attitude, Lin Qingyi said. Alright, you can watch the war as a VIP. If the Zhanwu dynasty and Martial Sacred Palace want to fight, I'll fight with them to the end, Night Sorrow said. What kind of grudge do you have against each other? Why would they join forces to fight? In the end, the grudge war turned into a realm war, Lin Qingyi asked. It's a long story. The Martial Sacred Hall wanted to seize the treasure. Back then, a few forces from the world of reincarnation launched an attack on the Azure Emperor dynasty. As for the Zhanwu dynasty, I can only say that they're shameless. They wanted to marry the princess of the Qing Emperor's dynasty by force. Who do they think they are? They're asking for a beating, Night Sorrow said angrily. But the first watch arrived. Chapter 1391. After being stunned for a moment, Lin Qingyi asked for the details. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything. He told her about the conflict between Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger and the Qing Emperor during his wedding, as well as the declaration of war by the Martial Sacred Palace. What a disgrace. You really deserve a beating, Lin Qingyi said with a cold face. Therefore this war must be fought. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't expect that there would be people in the Shenwu Great World who could understand him. Then may I ask, since the Martial Sacred Hall has declared war on you, do you have a Heavenly Tao artifact? If you do, let me see it. I definitely don't have any disloyalty. I just haven't seen it before, Lin Qingyi said. It is indeed the heavenly artifact, but it is incomplete. It has the effect of accelerating time. My original body is using it to cultivate, so you can't see it for the time being. Night Sorrow said with a smile. There was nothing he couldn't say. He could survive in the face of a heaven master. Who could kill him and snatch it? This isn't your original body? No matter how strong the doppelganger is, it is only a part of the original body's combat strength. If the doppelganger is so strong, then the original body must be even more powerful. The gap between us is huge. Lin Qingyi sized up Night Sorrow. You are going to fight with your original body? Aren't you afraid of being destroyed? Night Sorrow asked Lin Qingyi. I'm not afraid. I have life-saving means. Even if I encounter a strong enemy and get killed, I can protect my soul. Although I am seriously injured and need a long time to reconstruct my body to recover my cultivation, it is still a guarantee, Lin Qingyi said. My original body needs to cultivate and comprehend will. Therefore, I can only send my doppelganger to fight, Night Sorrow said. In fact, the original body and doppelganger could be detected by soul inspection. However, it was impolite to do so rashly. Generally, no one would do so. If there is a chance, I will see your heavenly artifact. Let's see how you fare in this battle. Lin Qingyi nodded. I have to say that your position is very dangerous. If you are here, it won't be good if the people of the Shenwu Great World see you. Maybe you don't care, but it will bring a lot of trouble. For the sake of the gentleman's battle, I will remind you to disguise yourself, Night Sorrow said to Lin Qingyi. Look at Jie Jingji, version of chapter, section 1. Lin Qingyi thought about it and nodded. She understood what Night Sorrow said. After that, Jun Xuanji left with Lin Qingyi and went to another tent to rest. Night Sorrow drank tea and pondered. For example, if War Tiger Prince and his doppelganger were to fight together, the battle would be a bit more difficult. Exhaling, Night Sorrow stood up. So what? He wasn't even afraid of the mandala, so why would he be afraid of him? After calming down, Night Sorrow began to cultivate the invincible golden body. After 5 days of peace, the army of Shenwu Great World arrived outside Red Origin City and faced off against the army of Samsara Great World. The Shenwu Great World Legion was located in the area where Night Sorrow had set up the formation. Uncles, you know the area where I set up the formation. After the battle starts, don't worry about anything else. Just insert 2 spirit stones into the formation and the formation will be activated, Night Sorrow said to Summer City, Shangguanhong, and Xian Daozi. The 3 from Summer City nodded. They knew that the real bloody battle was coming. It was the core battle of this realm war. Datura came to Night Sorrow's side and said, be careful during the battle. There's no need to go all out. You still have a lot of room for improvement. You still have a lot of clones to fight and your battle strength isn't at its peak. Ayuo, don't worry. It's true that I'm using a clone to fight, but not just anyone can injure me. Go tell my master and the others that I'm going to be ruthless this time, so their heaven overlords might interfere, said Yishan. Night Sorrow was worried about this. When the Shenwu Great World Legion suffered heavy losses, the other party's heaven masters might interfere. Datura nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was going to be ruthless this time. If the other party couldn't withstand it, it would be a huge loss for them. After that, Dachura went to communicate with the other Heaven Masters. What do you mean? Are you worried that the other party's Heaven Masters will interfere if the other party suffers heavy losses? Sima Tianqing looked at Dachura and asked. Yes, so we have to make some preparations. Dachura nodded. This is a good thing. Our main body and clones are all here. If Night Sorrow can succeed, then we have to consolidate our strength, Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow was very calm. He also notified the various army commanders to prepare for battle. Are you very calm? Lin Qingyi came to Night Sorrow's side and asked. Not really. I'm very excited. There aren't many fighters like this. I don't care about fame, but I want to know who's the first sovereign, Night Sorrow said as he looked in the direction of the Xinwu Great World Legion. I don't know who's stronger between you and Prince Jianhu, but I can say that given time, you'll definitely be the first sovereign, Lin Qingyi said seriously. Maybe I'm the first sovereign now. Night Sorrow smiled. He was confident in himself. Night Sorrow knew that the other party wouldn't fight today. They would first show off their momentum and pressure the soldiers of the Reincarnation Great World. Then they would officially fight. The Xinwu Great World Legion indeed didn't start fighting directly. If this method works on us, then our 9 Heavens Legion won't be able to survive, Jun Xuanji snorted coldly. Don't mind it. Some people can think about it, Night Sorrow said and returned to his tent. Night Sorrow returned to his tent and sat down to meditate. At this time no one would ambush him. There was no point in ambushing him. Who wouldn't be prepared? Moreover, the next battle would be the battle between the strongest sovereigns. Whoever ambushed him would be at a disadvantage. But the sun didn't appear. The clouds in the sky were very low. Strong winds swept away the clouds and churned above the battlefield. The atmosphere was very somber. This was the most important battle in the Realm War. It was very important to the Reincarnation Great World, so it was normal for the weather to be different. At this time the Xinwu Great World Legion moved forward. Following this, a burly middle-aged man with golden hair and a red ribbon appeared riding a silver dragon. Night Sorrow's body flashed and landed on Ice Chilin's back. He also walked out of the Legion's camp. Night Sorrow, come out. War Tiger Prince will kill you today, War Tiger Prince shouted towards the Reincarnation Great World Legion. Seeing Night Sorrow come out and shout, War Tiger Prince did it for the sake of momentum. He didn't need to talk about his personal needs, but the soldiers of the Legion needed it. Today was not only a battle between sovereigns but also a battle between legions. I thought you were a hero, but now it seems like you're just SOSO. Your thoughts are useless. 9 Heavens Legion, are you afraid of battle? Night Sorrow pointed at the sky with his right hand and shouted. We are invincible. Kill all who come. 9 Heavens Legion. Invincible. The 9 Heavens Legion shouted out 2 slogans. Night Sorrow looked back and nodded in satisfaction. He then looked at War Tiger Prince and said, use your strength to speak. Update 9. Actually, the most awesome slogan was, 10,000 troops, not a single blade of grass will survive. Update 10:20 a.m. There were a few blackouts today. I had no choice. Chapter 1392. Prince Jianhu glared at Night Sorrow. Because of Night Sorrow's simple sentence, his plan to build up momentum had been foiled. Don't try to play tricks with me. It's meaningless and makes you seem childish, Night Sorrow said coldly. Don't say such useless things. Once I kill you, everything will be solved, Prince Jianhu said with narrowed eyes. If you can survive in this world with your mouth, then I have to say that you will do very well. Night Sorrow looked at Prince Jianhu and said. Then you can die. Prince Jianhu's body shook. He flew off the silver dragon and charged at Yishan. Yishang's feet trembled as he rose into the air and flew towards Prince Jianhu. The battle between the strongest monarchs had officially begun. Both of them are top-tier monarchs. This is a battle of fate. Someone is destined to rise, Li Tianhu said. Can you speak? Night Sorrow will rise from this battle. He will be unrivaled among the monarchs. Dachura stared at Li Tianhu. Ah, my mouth doesn't know how to speak, Li Tianhu said with a smile. I have confidence in Night Sorrow, Qing Emperor said. At this moment, Night Sorrow and Prince Jianhu began to fight in close quarters. Prince Jianhu's blade slashed at Night Sorrow's sky rend. After a loud explosion, the two separated. Night Sorrow only retreated 5 or 6 feet because of the splash of energy. However, Prince Jianhu was sent flying 200 feet because of the impact. This caused the spectators to be very shocked. The cultivators of Shenwu Great World all knew that the sky-devouring tiger race was extremely strong. However, when compared to Night Sorrow, a human cultivator, they were at a disadvantage. After repelling Prince Jianhu, Yi Shang knew that he had the upper hand in terms of strength. Night Sorrow unleashed a linear cut on his protective shield as he rushed forward. Once again he used the Void Extreme Strike. Following an explosion, War Tiger Prince was forced back a distance, but it was better than before. He swung his saber at Night Sorrow. Prince Jianhu's battle blade was very long, about 6 meters long. It was wrapped in gray energy, which was the energy of time. Come on. Let's see how powerful your time energy is. Let's see what you're going to use to kill me. Night Sorrow's Nihility willpower suppressed Prince Jianhu and then used Nihility Extreme Point to kill him. The sound of energy explosions continued to ring out. War Tiger Prince was forced back by Night Sorrow's attacks. In terms of strength, Night Sorrow had the advantage. In terms of speed, Night Sorrow also had the advantage. In addition, War Tiger Prince had the advantage in attributes. It was only natural that War Tiger Prince would be suppressed. This was the restraint of strength, speed, and elemental laws. Everyone was very surprised. Originally, everyone thought that they should be evenly matched. Even if one was stronger, it would only be by a bit. However, the battle proved that it was not the case. Other than the initial slash, War Tiger Prince was passively defending. What's going on? Overwhelming him? Red Emperor said with some surprise. He can fight with Datura Chinensis and not lose. That means he has the strength to fight against a big shot. War Tiger Prince is not enough, right? Gap, this is the gap. His foundation is deep, but who knows how deep it is? Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Night Sorrow did not feel any pressure as he suppressed War Tiger Prince. You want to kill me? This bit of strength is not enough. Continue. Night Sorrow fiercely pushed War Tiger Prince back and then shouted. You deserve to die. After being pushed back by Night Sorrow, War Tiger Prince's eyes were bloodshot. He had lost face. He was Shenwu Great World's #1 monarch, but now? He was being suppressed. After letting out a low roar, War Tiger Prince's body flashed and a doppelganger appeared. It also held a battle sword and attacked Night Sorrow. Afterimage body? Night Sorrow used Afterimage body and then attacked War Tiger Prince's doppelganger, which was relatively weaker. Figures flew and energy surged. Night Sorrow and War Tiger Prince began to fight in the air above the battlefield. The winner has been decided. War Tiger Prince's original body and doppelganger are fighting together. If they can't take down Junior Brother's doppelganger, what right does he have to be called the strongest monarch? Jean Tan snorted. She was already dissatisfied. Night Sorrow was fighting with his doppelganger, but his opponent was fighting with his original body and doppelganger. Although Night Sorrow was only a doppelganger, he was not at a disadvantage. The Afterimage body was controlled by his soul. Although it did not have any attacking power, it could dodge attacks. In addition, Night Sorrow's strength and speed were suppressing War Tiger Prince, so the battle was still evenly matched. Damn it. I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left. War Tiger Prince was getting more and more angry. His original body and doppelganger were fighting together. If they could not take down Night Sorrow, it meant that they were not as good as Night Sorrow. Look at the original chapter. You only know how to talk. Can't you say something more nutritious? Night Sorrow replied. Tiger Roaring Wave. War Tiger Prince's original body and doppelganger retreated a little. Then both of them opened their mouths and roared at Night Sorrow's doppelganger. It was an ultimate skill, a sound wave attack. There was no such thing. In the information that Night Sorrow had read, War Tiger Prince did not have such an ultimate skill. Caught off guard, Night Sorrow's doppelganger was all shattered. Swallow the sky. After dispersing Night Sorrow's doppelganger, War Tiger Prince used his ultimate skill, Swallow the Sky. He first used the Tiger Roaring Wave to break Night Sorrow's doppelganger. Then he used his ultimate skill, Swallow the Sky. When fighting against normal monarchs, War Tiger Prince only needed to use his doppelganger or his original body to use Swallow the Sky. However, he knew that Night Sorrow was very strong. So, he used both his original body and doppelganger together to kill Night Sorrow. War Tiger Prince's original body and doppelganger both opened their mouths. Two gray energy whirlpools swept towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's spacetime willpower burst forth. The spacetime energy shield kept vibrating. Stalemate. With the spacetime willpower suppressing War Tiger Prince's Swallow the Sky, War Tiger Prince's energy whirlpools did not affect Night Sorrow. The two sides were in a stalemate. Lord God Tiger stood up. He felt that the situation was not good. This was War Tiger Prince's strongest move. If it could not do anything to Night Sorrow, then they would not be able to win this battle. After a moment of stalemate, Night Sorrow made his move. His willpower and energy instantly switched. They became void willpower and void energy. At this time, War Tiger Prince's doppelganger Swallow the Sky Whirlpool came close to Night Sorrow's body. It was immediately destroyed. Night Sorrow's body flashed as he followed the pulling force of the energy vortex released by War Tiger Prince's true body towards War Tiger Prince. Great Emperor Cycle Slash. When he got close to War Tiger Prince's original body, Night Sorrow used his ultimate skill. A battle of life and death was not for learning. It was for killing. Now, Night Sorrow wanted to kill War Tiger Prince because he had killed many people. Among them, there was demon blood that Night Sorrow was familiar with. A purple halo exploded. It rushed through the gray energy and enveloped War Tiger Prince's head. Then, with a whistling sound, Sky Splitter pierced towards War Tiger Prince's head. The 10th update has arrived. Today's 10th update has ended. Thank you, brothers. Congratulations, brother, for leveling up to Black Diamond. Rest for a while, then repay, brother, and continue. Chapter 1393. In previous battles, Night Sorrow had not dared to fully unleash the will of the void. He had always been secretive and had not been able to fully display its might. But now he was no longer afraid. If a Heaven Master attacked him, he would be able to survive. Thus he no longer had any scruples. Using the will of nothingness as the main body of the Great Emperor Reincarnation / the power was much stronger than before. The purple light directly melted the gray spacetime energy from Prince Jianhu. After passing through it, it enveloped Prince Jianhu's head. Seeing that it was effective, Night Sorrow quickly attacked with the Space Slicer. The energy from the Space Slicer pierced through the gray energy whirlpool and through Prince Jianhu's forehead. Prince Jianhu's head was destroyed without a sound. Night Sorrow's body flashed and his left hand grabbed Prince Jianhu's storage ring. He then turned around to face Prince Jianhu's clone. Are you going to use this strength to shout that you want to kill me? Your original body is dead. Night Sorrow waved the Space Slicer and charged towards Prince Jianhu. Prince Jianhu's body flashed and he immediately ran. How would he dare to fight? Both his original body and clone were not a match for Night Sorrow. Now that his original body was destroyed and only his clone was left, he no longer had the ability to fight. Night Sorrow's body flashed and he began his pursuit. Since there was a chance to kill, he would naturally take it to his death. You're courting death. Heaven Lord God whose body flashed and he flew towards the area where Night Sorrow and Prince Jianhu were chasing. You're the one who's courting death. Dachura, who had been observing the battle, flashed and arrived at the battlefield. He waved his hollow blade and slashed towards Heaven Lord God who. However, Night Sorrow wasn't able to catch up to Prince War Tiger. It wasn't that his speed was inferior to Prince War Tiger's, but that the distance between them was too short. Prince War Tiger was rushing towards the Divine Martial Great World's Heaven Master camp. No matter how bold Night Sorrow was, he could not run into the Heaven Masters of the other party. Seeing Prince Jianhu run back, Sky Lord Shinhu dodged Dachura's blade and also retreated. He knew he couldn't beat Dachura. Why are you running away? Aren't you going to kill me? If you continue to be so arrogant, I'll kill you. All of you listen up. This is the Reincarnation Great World. It's not a place where you can behave atrociously. Prince Jianhu, remember this. I'll kill your true body this time. The next time we meet, I'll kill you thoroughly. Night Sorrow pointed at War Tiger Prince and roared. Dachura also retreated to Night Sorrow's side. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. The furious War Tiger Prince roared. Upon hearing Prince Jianhu's command, Shinwu Great World's army charged towards Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens army. Kill them all? Very good. Nine Heavens army, fight. Night Sorrow waved his Sky Lord and gave the order. If Prince Jianhu wanted to kill them all, he wouldn't hold back either. At this moment, the Heaven Masters of the Reincarnation Great World were floating in the air and staring at the Shinwu Great World's Heaven Masters. They were not allowed to interfere in the war between the armies. The first release of the war started and both armies started to move. Summer City, Shangguanhong, and Xian Daozi avoided the enemy's attack path and reached the array formation area. They used the Saint Spirit Stone to activate the array formation. The array formation was activated at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, It covered the Shinwu Great World's army that hadn't rushed out of the area. Night Sorrow's men moved. The Skyheart army and Sima army on the left and the Bloodthirsty army and Black Evil army on the right all rushed out and attacked the Shinwu Great World's army. Nine Heavens army and Yuanshu army followed Night Sorrow and attacked the War Tiger army. God Tiger, you better not move. If you move, it won't be as simple as a realm war. No matter how big our losses are, you guys won't be able to return. Qing Emperor looked at Lord God Tiger, who was also in the air. Lord God Tiger's eyelids twitched. He wanted to attack, but he couldn't. Some things were beyond his expectations. He was on par with Datura. Other than Sandalwood and Qing Emperor, others couldn't stop them. If they fought, there would be casualties. This was something he couldn't bear. The battle between the armies was intense. However, the Reincarnation Great World's army had the absolute upper hand, especially the Nine Heavens army. They were in groups of 3 and 5, and their killing power was extremely high. Those who were targeted by them would definitely be killed. Lord God Tiger looked at Datura and the others, but he couldn't do anything. He could only watch as the soldiers of his army were killed. Defeated. Lord God Tiger knew that they had lost this battle. After War Tiger Prince was killed, the momentum of the Shinwu Great World had already dissipated. In addition, Night Sorrow's array had trapped a portion of the people. The remaining portion couldn't withstand the full force of the Reincarnation Great World's army. Retreat. Heaven Monarch Shinhu shouted. You want to retreat? Chase after them. Yi Shang gave the order once again. When Prince John, who had shouted that he would kill all of them, Yi Shang had been infuriated, so he would not be polite now. The Shinwu Great World's army retreated. Night Sorrow led his men to chase after them. Night Sorrow wasn't a murderous person. However, he knew that now wasn't the time to be merciful. If he was merciful now, the Shinwu Great World's army would still have strength and fight again. Black Evil army, stay behind. Send a message to the Green Chilan army, Green Phoenix army, and Chiwa army to come back. Trap the troops in the array. Night Sorrow turned around and shouted to the Black Evil army. He led his army to bypass the area where he set up the array. He ignored the soldiers of the Shinwu Great World who were trapped and started killing the soldiers of the Shinwu Great World who were retreating. The battle was very intense as they chased after them. The soldiers of the Reincarnation Great World were in high spirits. This was because this was the first time they had fought a battle to their heart's content. The leaders of both sides were also moving. They were above the soldiers who were fighting. Neither side made a move. There was no need for Qing Emperor and the others. They didn't need to make a move. The battle was already won. Lord God Tiger and the others couldn't make a move. If they made a move, Qing Emperor and the others would definitely make a move. After chasing for half a day, Night Sorrow gave the order to stop the chase. Because they could no longer chase after them, the Divine Martial Great World's legions had all been scattered. Retreat. Night Sorrow led his army back to Red Origin City. Red Origin City was still in a mess. When Night Sorrow arrived outside Scarlet Origin City, he saw that the Black Fiend Legion, the Green Phoenix Legion, and the Green Chilan Legion were surrounding the array formation. Those who charged out of the array formation without resisting would be captured, tied up, and thrown to the side. Those who resisted would be killed. Surround them. After I release the array, kill those who resist. Those who don't resist, capture them first. Night Sorrow said as he released the array. When the array was released, the soldiers of the Shinwu Great World saw the Reincarnation Great World surrounding them. How could they resist? After capturing all of them, Yi Shang returned to the big tent in the barracks. After Yi Shang entered, he saw that Lin Qingyi was there too. A complete victory. Just as I expected, Prince Zhan, who wasn't a match for you. It seems like you didn't use your full strength when you fought with me. Lin Qingyi looked at Night Sorrow and said. First update. Chapter 1394. Your Excellency, you think too much. I was just lucky, Night Sorrow said. It's not luck, it's strength. Your world of Samsara won and they lost the ability to continue fighting. That's strange. Why didn't you bring your men to the Thunder Cliff? That's their stronghold for attacking the world of Samsara. If you took it down, wouldn't you gain more benefits? Lin Qingyi said. Your Excellency, I have my considerations. If we took down the Thunder Cliff, the scattered soldiers of Shinwu Great World would not be able to return. If they stayed, it would affect the peace of the world of Samsara. Therefore, I gave them a chance to go back, Night Sorrow said. Your Excellency is very awkward. You can call me Qing Ho. That's what my friends call me. Besides, if you don't pursue the victory, you will lose the opportunity to fight. When the people of Shinwu Great World leave, the teleportation formation will be destroyed. Won't you suffer a loss? Lin Qingyi said. She felt that Night Sorrow's move was a mistake. It was a mistake that the #1 commander of the world of Samsara should not make. Go. Qingho, actually I have other arrangements. Is it only the teleportation formation that they set up? The world of Samsara also set up a teleportation formation when the war started. I know you don't care about the realm war now. It doesn't matter if I tell you. When they leave and the teleportation formation at the Thunder Cliff is destroyed, it will be impossible for the Shinwu Great World to enter the world of Samsara. In the future I can fight whenever I want, but they can't. Today's battle is just the beginning of the realm war for me, Night Sorrow said as he brewed a pot of tea. You have a flawless plan. I used my own thinking to measure you. That was a mistake. Lin Qingyi laughed self-deprecatingly. I just made a secret move in advance. It's more effective. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Lin Qingyi. A secret move. You made one secret move after another. Today's trap and kill formation directly reduced the combat power of Shinwu Great World by half. It allowed the world of Samsara to win this turning battle with a small loss, Lin Qingyi said. We caught a lot of people today. I don't want to kill too many people. What do you think we should do with these people? Night Sorrow asked Lin Qingyi. What do you think? Lin Qingyi looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. There was no need for Night Sorrow to tell her about these things. If you can arrange it, I can hand that person over to you. I don't have any other requests. Just don't harm our reincarnation great world and don't participate in this realm war. Once the realm war is over, they can go back, Night Sorrow said. You're still so kind? I think you're quite ruthless today. Lin Qingyi didn't understand because the current Yi Shang was completely different from the Yi Shang who had fought on the battlefield. It's different. That's war. I didn't kill, I was merciful. Those who died were my brothers. Now that the battle is over, there's no need to continue killing. Participating in the realm war is not a crime in itself. They might have been fathers or sons. It doesn't matter if they die, but what they leave behind is the grief of their families, said Yishan. You're right. Leave these people to me. Lin Qingyi nodded. Uncle Xian Daozi, bring Qingho over. Tell him that I want all the captives to be handed over to Qingho, Night Sorrow said to Xian Daozi, who entered the tent. Just as Xian Daozi and Lin Qingyi left, Night Sorrow's body shone brightly. It was a golden light. Meritorious body. The moment the meritorious saint changed, Night Sorrow understood. He had won this battle for the reincarnation great world. He had become a meritorious saint in the reincarnation great world. The meritorious light in his body was very strong. The 9 regions world would be a supreme world like the reincarnation great world in the future. However, it was not possible now. Therefore, the meritorious light in the meritorious saint of the 9 regions world was not enough to support him to become a meritorious saint of the reincarnation great world. However, after this battle, Night Sorrow had enough merit to become a meritorious saint. Moreover, it was not the same feeling as when he had just become a meritorious saint. It could even be said that the light of merit he had obtained this time made Night Sorrow not far from becoming a meritorious saint. Night Sorrow thought about it and understood. This was a realm war. It was a battle between the reincarnation great world and the Shinwu great world. He had killed Prince Zhan Hu, which was a turning point. He had also led his army to victory and laid the foundation for the realm war. It was reasonable for him to have great merit. After getting used to it, Night Sorrow stored the light of merit in his body and went to the city lord's mansion. At this time, the Heaven Masters had all returned and were drinking tea and chatting. When they saw Night Sorrow, they all smiled because Night Sorrow had made a name for himself. The first monarch of the Shinwu Great World had fought together with his clone, but Night Sorrow had killed the first monarch. They were not on the same level at all. Night Sorrow sat down beside Datura. Then the Qing Emperor asked Night Sorrow what he wanted to do next. Night Sorrow told the Qing Emperor and the others about the arrangement of the captives. That's good. It's okay to kill them during the war. After the war, it's not appropriate to kill the captives. It's immoral. You can arrange it as you see fit. The Qing Emperor said. Master, I plan to attack the Shinwu Great World after stabilizing the situation. The victory of the realm war is important, but the stability of our reincarnation great world is more important. Night Sorrow expressed his thoughts. We have no objections. The army of the reincarnation great world will be under your command now and in the future. Sima Tianqing said. This was his attitude. In the reincarnation great world, the Qing Emperor's dynasty, the Dark Abyss, and the Red Emperor's empire were all on the same side. The Black Fiend Valley was also riding on Night Sorrow's coattails. Everyone knew this and the Li brothers didn't mind. First, Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord also said that the Yuan Chu army would be led by Night Sorrow. Therefore, Sima Tiancheng's attitude was the final decision. Okay, I won't favor one and discriminate against the other. I'll treat it the same. Night Sorrow made a promise. Night Sorrow, there's bad news. According to the spy of the Dark Abyss in the Celestial Sect, Lord of Heaven God who went to the Celestial Sect. However, we didn't find out what he did or what he discussed. Datura said. This is an unstable factor, but we can't act directly now. Let's ignore them for now. Next, we'll reclaim our lost land and stabilize it. Then we'll attack the Thunder Cliff. After the reincarnation Great World is stabilized, we'll go to war. The Zhanwu dynasty and the Martial Sacred Palace must pay the price. We must let them know that there's a price to pay for provoking others. Night Sorrow said. After communicating with everyone, Night Sorrow returned to the tent and rushed to the place where the captives were held. At this time, Lin Qingyi was talking to the captives. She said that the Realm War was different from the Grudge War. A loss was a loss. She told the captives to settle down and that they could go back after the Realm War. Seeing that everything was stable, Night Sorrow returned to the tent and asked Red and Blue to be on guard. He began to cultivate and study the newly advanced light of merit. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you, brother. For, I don't know. Shui Jing unsealed yesterday's chapter. Thank you, brother. Yesterday you gave me an essential oil and 2 strength pills. Chapter 1395. There were many things that Night Sorrow didn't need to worry about. Once he set the direction, there would be people to carry it out. Just like now, the post-war reorganization of the army was arranged by the commander and the general. Those who came to find Night Sorrow and found out that Night Sorrow was cultivating would deal with it themselves. If they couldn't deal with it themselves, they would go to the City Lord's mansion to seek advice from the Heaven Masters. He's still cultivating at this time. It seems like there's a lot of room for improvement, Red Emperor said. He came back to participate in the war right after he advanced, so there's still a lot of room for improvement, Qing Emperor said. He has already risen and his momentum is unstoppable. He can protect himself in front of a Heaven Master just after he advanced. After he stabilizes and improves his will, his strength will be no different from a Heaven Master, Sima Tiancheng said. So when he's cultivating, there are some things that we have to deal with. We have to support him fully. Precious Fragrance Heaven looked at Datura and said. She admired Datura's foresight. He was able to discover that Night Sorrow was a talent at such an early stage. Also, everyone get ready. After the situation stabilizes, Night Sorrow will lead people to counterattack. We have to deal with some auxiliary problems, Qing Emperor said to the group. Night Sorrow was cultivating the immortal golden body in the tent. It was to integrate the light of virtue into his body and circulate it with the energy in his body. In the past, he couldn't cultivate it because he didn't have enough light of virtue. Now that his light of virtue was abundant, he could naturally do it. After 6 days, Night Sorrow completed the integration of the light of virtue and the energy in his body. The true immortal golden body was cultivated. Walking out of the tent, Night Sorrow nodded to Hong Yi and Lan Ning. Thank you for your hard work these few days. Hong Yi and Lan Ning were king. In the past they were experts. However, they couldn't keep up with the pace now. It wasn't that they couldn't do it, but the level that Night Sorrow was facing was getting higher and higher. Therefore, they were now Night Sorrow's bodyguards and followers. After exiting the tent, Night Sorrow went to the place where the captives were. When Night Sorrow arrived, Lin Qingyi appeared. Everyone is here. I've already told them to stay here for now. Those who are injured will heal, and those who are not will cultivate. It's not easy to be a soldier. Life and death battles are inevitable in a world war. Once the war is over, it's a different matter. I'm a soldier, so I respect every soldier. If you need anything, you can come find me, said Yishan. Looking at Night Sorrow, Lin Qingyi nodded. She now understood why the Nine Heavens Army, the #1 army in Samsara world, could still crush the martial army. It was because Night Sorrow had the heart of a soldier. Xuanji, you'll be in charge of this place. If there's a need, just satisfy it, Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji, who had rushed over. Jun Xuanji nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was busy, so she had to take over these matters. Night Sorrow was now the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. She was the military counselor of the Allied forces because she was Night Sorrow's most capable assistant. Night Sorrow went to each army and called all the commanders and generals to the commander-in-chief's tent. Although we tried our best to avoid it, there were still some losses. Those who were seriously injured need to be treated, and those who died, we need to compensate them. I will speak to the leaders of your respective forces about this, Yi Sorrow said as he looked at the commanders and generals of the various armies. Everyone bowed to Night Sorrow. Those who could lead soldiers to war naturally loved their brothers. Night Sorrow's words struck a chord in their hearts. This is the aftermath. Besides, the world war hasn't ended, so we can't just attack the Shenwu Great World and leave when we can't win. We have to give an explanation. I'll fight. Everyone here is willing to do so, Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about the others. The Nine Heavens Army will definitely fight, Newlin said. The Devil Blood Army will fight too. Later, Shishue and I will ask the Lord to fight. I believe the Lord won't have any objections, the Devil Blood commander said. Commander Yu Feng will send a message to Master immediately. I believe he will agree, Yuanchu armies, Yu Feng said. Night Sorrow then told everyone to go back and prepare. Those who were willing to fight could gather in 7 days. After the commanders and generals left, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. He guessed that all the armies would fight. After all, no one would be willing to take a beating. After drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow went to the city lord's mansion. When he arrived, he found that all the commanders were there. Seeing Night Sorrow, all the commanders bowed to Night Sorrow. Is everyone here? Yishan opened his mouth and greeted them. Night Sorrow is here. Come and sit, Red Emperor nodded to Night Sorrow. I'm here this time because I have something to tell everyone. I'm the leader of the Realm Battle Army this time. Many of them died in battle, so I have to give them an explanation. I hope that everyone can compensate the soldiers of your respective forces. We have to respect those who died fighting for the realm battle. Yishan clasped his hands at the Heaven Masters present. Of course, they all died for their beliefs. We all understand. Sima Tianqing nodded. We can't do anything about those who died in battle. I hope that the forces of the armies can take care of the families of the soldiers who died in battle, Night Sorrow stated his request. Red Emperor, Sima Tianqing and the others nodded in agreement to Night Sorrow's request. Night Sorrow's request was reasonable. In fact, even if Night Sorrow didn't say it, everyone would do the same. It was just that there might be a difference in strength. Also, they're all here to request for battle. What do you think? Qing Emperor said. This depends on the situation of each force. Those who can and are willing to fight should fight. Those who are unsuitable or unwilling should rest and recuperate. Master, disciple and the Nine Heavens Army must fight, Night Sorrow said. Forever and ever. Master will support your decision. Qing Emperor smiled and nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow was insistent. Night Sorrow, you're too distant with your thoughts. What is a realm war? A realm war is a war for everyone in the world. Some people don't work together because of their differences. We'll definitely fight. Chiu He, before the realm war ends, the Sima Residence's army must cooperate with Night Sorrow's deployment. Even if we have to fight to the last man, Sima Tianqing said to the commander of the Sima Residence, Chiu He. Night Sorrow, our Black Fiend Valley naturally has nothing to say. If you want to climb a mountain of blades, we won't hesitate at all, Li Tianba said. Red Emperor also stood up and expressed his attitude. Night Sorrow bowed to Li Tianba and Red Emperor. A few years ago, because I wasn't calm enough, I hurt the two of you. Night Sorrow will pay for it. Night Sorrow knew that he wasn't wrong. Sometimes he wasn't wrong, but he needed to be humble. If he could untie the knot in other people's hearts, he didn't mind paying a little price. After all, he killed someone else's son. Third watch. Chapter 1396. It's all in the past. I can't blame you. This is fate. I didn't teach you well. You don't have to take it to heart, said the Red Emperor. Forget it. Let's not talk about it anymore. We're friends now. It'll hurt our relationship if we talk about the past. The Red Emperor looked at his two sons and said, Night Sorrow, you're wronging yourself by saying this today. You have the potential to be the leader of a force. I'm very happy to hand the Red Emperor's army to you. Tianxin Chiwa, let's not talk about the past. Cooperate well in battle. Understand? Akatsuki and Chiwa nodded. They knew that it was all in the past. Their father had let it go completely. They also knew that Chidu deserved it the most. After settling things, Night Sorrow left the city lord's mansion and returned to the military tent. Night Sorrow had just sat down when Yufeng arrived. Yufeng told him about Lord Yuandao's attitude. Lord Yuandao's order was that the Yuanchu army would listen to Night Sorrow's orders until the end of the Realm War. New Lin, the Yuanchu army is quite far from Yuandao. It might be inconvenient to resupply them. Take a portion of our 9 Heavens Army's supplies. Medicine and resources must be provided, said Night Sorrow to New Lin, who was also in the tent. Commander Knight, you're too polite. We'll bring the resources. There won't be any shortage. The Yuanchu army will accept your kindness, said Yu Feng with a bow. After settling matters, Night Sorrow went for a walk with Dechura, who came to accompany him. Lord Yujun and Qingyan ran home. They want to tell their mother and aunt about their father's might, said Dechura with a smile. Hashtag the only genuine article, the others are all thieves. Version, they're still children. They'll still be children when they grow up. My original body has been cultivating. When it can't cultivate at a high speed, I'll come out. We have to have children too, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Okay, we want children too. Dechura blushed. In fact, Dechura had long thought about this. She wanted to give birth to a child for Night Sorrow. I can feel that your aura has changed. There's a sense of peace within the righteousness. I'm not the only one who feels this way. When you left the City Lord's mansion earlier, everyone else said the same thing, Dechura said to Night Sorrow. I've gained a lot from this realm war. In the reincarnation great world, I've become a sage of merit. I've also fused the golden light of merit into my body. You know how I cultivate my body. After fusing with the golden meritorious light, I already have an indestructible meritorious golden meritorious body. Because I cultivate the leakless body, if people don't look carefully they won't be able to detect it, Night Sorrow explained. What is a virtuous sage? It meant that he had obtained the approval of the heavenly Tao. His words and actions carried the aura of the heavenly Tao, and he carried a majestic aura. Very good. Becoming a virtuous saint through virtue. A virtuous saint from a major world is incredible, Mandela said as she looked at Yishang. Luo, I feel that I'm not far from becoming a virtuous grand sage, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Good things should be shared with family. Then hurry up. A virtuous grand sage is even more powerful. He can crush king even without cultivation. Dechura looked at Night Sorrow excitedly. Can you hurry up? You can't do it intentionally. Letting nature take its course is in accordance with the heavenly Tao, Night Sorrow said. Dechura nodded. She also understood that doing good on purpose was just a small act of kindness. It wasn't considered much merit. Dechura told Night Sorrow to be careful in the future. He had destroyed Prince Zhanhu's original body, which meant that he had destroyed Prince Zhanhu's future. It was equivalent to destroying one of the great leaders of the Zhangwu dynasty. I know. Luo, you should be careful too. Dechura Chinensis is a hidden danger. This hidden danger must be dealt with. Night Sorrow was worried that Dechura Chinensis would appear again. After all, she was an opponent who hid in the dark and could strike a fatal blow at any time. I know. The most difficult thing about her is that she can hide her aura. Great leaders can't sense her aura. The last time she came we couldn't sense it. Now, it's difficult for her to do anything to the two of us, so we have to be careful of our family's safety, Dechura said. Before you married me you didn't have any weaknesses. Now your weakness is me and our family. Now that I've entered the monarch realm, it's difficult for her to do anything to me. I think the only place she can do anything to is our family, Night Sorrow said. My clone is in the mysterious sky world, cultivating in an inn not far from the teleportation formation. She can't threaten Seven Nights City. I'll know when she reaches the mysterious sky world, Dechura said. She had already thought about Night Sorrow's worries. Luo switched between the original body and the clone. The original body will go there and the clone will stay outside. The original body must be safe. We don't have children yet, Night Sorrow said. Didn't I tell you? My original body and clone are similar. As long as your original body comes out, both my original body and clone can do anything. The clone can't have a partner. The heavenly law doesn't work on me. In other words, if you marry me, it's the same as marrying two wives. Of course, their minds and souls are the same, Dechura said. I understand. Does the same thing happen to Dechura Chinensis? I don't know if it was the clone or the original body last time. Night Sorrow exhaled. Dechura was strong, which meant that Dechura Chinensis also had heaven-defying abilities. It's not the same. Dechura Chinensis doesn't have a branch, so she doesn't have a clone. She only has the original body. However, she has some special skills that I don't have. She knows the art of seduction. Last time you were alerted, so she didn't have the chance to use it. Also, she has strong life-saving skills. You have to pay attention to all of these. Most importantly, don't impersonate me to trick you, Dechira said. You and I are husband and wife. Who would impersonate you? Even if they look exactly the same, there's still a lack of feelings. If I mistook you as my wife, wouldn't I be letting you down? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Not necessarily. I have too many similarities with Dechira Chinensis. If she's more cautious, it'll be really difficult for you to tell, Dechira reminded Night Sorrow. I understand. I know where her nest is. We'll go take a look later. If she's still there, we'll get rid of her once and for all, Night Sorrow said. I'll listen to you. For the time being, we have to win this realm war first. The Zhanwu dynasty and Battle God Palace have to be dealt with. We have to beat them into submission. Murderous intent appeared in Dechira's eyes. She was gentle and considerate in front of Night Sorrow, but after suppressing a region for so many years, the domineering and murderous intent on her body were already ingrained in her bones. I still have to tell Master and the others that we can't just send an army. If the other Heaven Masters take action, our armies won't be able to return, Night Sorrow said. Dechira told Night Sorrow that on this issue, the Qing Emperor and the other Heaven Masters had already reached a consensus. The primordial Heaven Master had also informed them and agreed to send a clone to fight. After hearing Dechira's words, Night Sorrow was relieved. The Zhanwu dynasty was very strong, but so what? You wanted to fight the realm war to the end. But the fourth update has arrived. Today's update completed. Chapter 1397. Deterrence. Night Sorrow needed a deterrence. Without the deterrence and restraint of the Heaven Masters, the other party's Heaven Masters would have no scruples. With the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation, Lord Shinhu and the others would not easily make a move. Of course, it would be useless even if they did. With the support of Qing Emperor and the others, Night Sorrow felt that there was no problem. Now the army is reorganized and assembled. If there is no problem, we can go to war, Night Sorrow said. Go out and fight. We must make a name for ourselves. We must let everyone know that the Nine Heavens army is not to be trifled with. We must let everyone know the name Night Sorrow, Dechira said. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. He did not care about personal fame because he did not lack anything. After chatting with Dechira for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the commander's tent. Commander, when are we going to war? Jun Xuanji asked. After the army is reorganized, we will go to the Shinwu Great World. I don't have a map, so I can't plan tactics and strategies. So we must first fight our way in and then send out scouts to collect information, Night Sorrow said. We can send out scouts now, Jun Xuanji said. Your Highness, I will bring a secret guard to scout. This may save a lot of time, Summer City, who had been sitting on the side, said. Summer City, Xian Daozi and Sheng Guanhong were all with Night Sorrow. Okay. Xuanji, go to the Angry Lin army and gather a team of scouts. Go with Uncle Xia and the others. The Nine Heavens army must guard the teleportation portal. I will go too. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow made a decision. Once the scouts entered, the war would begin. If the scouts were caught or met with an accident, the location of the teleportation portal would be easily discovered. So once the war began, the teleportation portal must be guarded. Forever Free/CPJ. After making his decision, Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to teleport to the Shinwu Great World. The teleportation array that Xian Daozi had set up was located in a remote mountain range in the Shinwu Great World. Night Sorrow had the Nine Heavens Legion set up camp in a defensive position. After arranging the army's base, Night Sorrow set up the command tent. Not long after it was done, the teleportation portal flashed. The Qing Emperor and the other big shots all appeared. Night Sorrow, if you have made a decision, you should tell everyone how dangerous it is for you to bring your men here, Misty Rain said. Mistress, I know I was wrong, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Let's not talk about you anymore. Go do your thing. We'll find another place to camp, Qing Emperor said. Knowing that Night Sorrow was leading his men to the Shinwu Great World, the big shots followed him without hesitation. Now, Night Sorrow's importance to the Reincarnation Great World had surpassed the big shots. He was now the commander of the Reincarnation Great World's coalition army, the number one person under the big shots. Night Sorrow was the number one person under the big shots. The title of the strongest monarch was not given by himself. It was recognized by everyone. If something happened to Night Sorrow, the reincarnation great world's momentum would fall to the bottom. In fact, Night Sorrow's fame was not only in the reincarnation great world and the Shenwu great world, but also in the Xuanhuang great world. Tang Bo, Tang Xin and Tang Yi were all very excited. Everyone should be like Night Sorrow. His heroism and boldness make my blood boil, Tang Bo said excitedly. That's because he has the strength. Without strength, how can he be heroic? He will be destroyed by others, Tang Yi said with a smile. This is a realm war. We can't take part in it. Otherwise, I really want to fight with him. That's what men should do, Tang Bo said with some yearning. What's wrong with being a woman? Brother, you're wrong. Tang Yi was a little unwilling. Among the three siblings, Tang Yi was the youngest, but she had the highest cultivation talent. She was the first one to reach the monarch realm. Haha, it's a slip of the tongue, Tang Bo said with a smile. Every war is accompanied by the rise of elites. This is the usual practice. However, not everyone has the opportunity. Without strength, you will be easily chopped into pieces, Tang Jianfeng said. Tang Bo and the other two nodded. They could understand Tang Jianfeng's words. Times create heroes. If you don't have that talent, then it's useless. Looking at his confused children, Tang Jianfeng added. Father, what do you think of this realm war? Tang Yi asked. If nothing goes wrong, Shenwu Great World will lose, Tang Jianfeng said. Then Tang Jianfeng analyzed the situation and the current advantages and disadvantages for his children. The strongest monarch and the strongest army were in the reincarnation Great World. If the Heaven Masters didn't take part and didn't make any major mistakes, the reincarnation Great World would win. As for the Heaven Masters, the reincarnation Great World wasn't afraid. Night Sorrow was born in a small world. He has commanded many realm wars. In addition, he led the Qing Emperor's army in the reincarnation Great World many times. He is very talented in this aspect. He won't make any low-level mistakes. I think the most important thing is the battle between the Heaven Masters. They are the ones who can decide the outcome of the realm war, Tang Yi said. If the Shenwu Great World's Heaven Masters were confident, they would have taken part in the battle in the reincarnation Great World. Lord of Heaven God who was suppressed by the Dark Dominator. Blood Emperor Sandalwood completely suppressed their second Lord, Lord of Heaven Origin who. Therefore, they didn't have the confidence to take part in the battle. Lord of Heaven Yuanchu and the Qing Emperor are the best among the Heaven Masters. Battle requires strength, Tang Jianfeng said. Lord of Heaven God who was slapped in the face this time. He initiated the realm war but was beaten back. If he loses the realm war he will be embarrassed, Tang Bo said. They have already lost all their dignity. It's best if we win, but it doesn't matter if we lose. If they are cowards, the reincarnation Great World will kill them. After all, no one wants to start a battle between Heaven Masters, Tang Jianfeng said. That was the truth. Fights between Heaven Masters were usually due to enmity and to snatch fortuitous encounters. Although the outcome of the realm war was important, it wasn't to the extent that they had to fight to the death. Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army into the Shenwu Great World. The other armies received the news and entered as well. Night Sorrow's military order was for all the soldiers to cultivate the joint attack array as soon as possible. This way they could avoid losses when the battle started. Night Sorrow's philosophy was to put people first. He didn't want to suffer any unnecessary losses. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow went to the tent of the Heaven Masters. Now the Heaven Masters were very relaxed. There was a big tea table in the middle. They were all sitting and chatting. There were extra chairs which were Night Sorrow's seat. In other words, Night Sorrow had a seat at this level. Night Sorrow wasn't a Heaven Master, but he had the strength of a Heaven Master. Sit down and drink some tea. Make the arrangements. Someone will do it, Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance said. Thank you, Heavenly Lord. Night Sorrow is here. I have something to tell everyone. Leave the army to me and I don't want to see any of my brothers fall. So, there are some things that I need everyone's support for, Night Sorrow said as he sat down. First watch. Chapter 1398. Just say it. As long as we can do it, it's not a problem. Sima Tianqing said. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord who just arrived nodded. Everyone take out your best healing and life-saving resources and give them to your armies. I can guarantee that you won't lose out because I'll snatch back all the resources that you've used up, Night Sorrow said, revealing the purpose of his trip. Night Sorrow, you are a cultivator of the body of merit. You even do things like robbing? Red Emperor looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. What's wrong with robbing? I am a cultivator of the world of reincarnation. The Shinwu Great World has a grudge with me. If I have the chance to cut their flesh, I will naturally do it. Night Sorrow said. Go. Red Emperor, your news is outdated. Night Sorrow has already become a saint in the world of reincarnation. Datura said with pride because that was her husband. A body of merit had appeared in the world of reincarnation before. However, it did not become a saint because its cultivation level was too low. It had been annihilated in the long river of history. A saint of merit in the world of reincarnation? Yuandao Heavenly Lord looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. Yes, it happened a while ago. I was quite lucky. Night Sorrow said. It should have happened after you killed Prince Zhanhu's true body, right? For ordinary cultivators, the world war gives them luck. You have the foundation of a body of merit, so the benefits are great. Sima Tiancheng said with envy in his eyes. Becoming a saint of merit was too amazing. Let's not change the topic. Can you take out the best resources and give them to your respective armies? It's a matter of life and death. I hope to bring them all back. Night Sorrow brought up the issue of resources again. Of course it's not a problem. You don't need the resources. They are given to our own people. There's nothing wrong with that. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. The others did not disagree. Thank you for your support. As a token of appreciation, I'll serve you some good tea. Night Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea and brewed a pot. The group of titans who were drinking the tea were full of praise. Heart-cleansing tea was very rare and was cultivated by Chin Chin. Night Sorrow, give me 2 packets of these later, Yuandao Heavenly Lord said bluntly. No problem. I'll give everyone 2 packs later, Night Sorrow said. Yuandao Heavenly Lord gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up and said, Impressive. That's all there is to it. I'll leave you to it. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands before leaving the tent. Qing Shangjuan, these 2 disciples of yours are really a legend in the world of reincarnation. The cultivator with the body of merit who appeared last time died. He died because he attained the body of merit too late and reached the end of his lifespan. However, Night Sorrow is different. He's more than 100 years old and he's like a baby. Who dares to look at him like a baby now? Excluding his relationship with Datura, we're all on the same level, Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Speaking of which, I'm ashamed. Actually, I've only imparted him one absolute art. I really didn't teach him anything else. It's because he's hardworking enough. The heavens are strong and the gentleman strives to improve himself. The terrain is good and the gentleman is virtuous. He really did it, the Lotus Emperor said. Master, you're also a cultivator of the heart and morals. Your ideals are much deeper than Junior Brother's, and you've been cultivating for countless years before him. Why did Junior Brother become a virtuous body and a virtuous saint, but you didn't? Sandalwood asked. This was something he couldn't understand. She was puzzled. It's all because I know what merit is. No matter what you do, it's considered intentional. Even if you deliberately do great good, it's still a small good. Your starting point isn't recognized by the heavenly Tao. However, your Junior Brother is different. He does things according to his nature. Therefore, his actions are most in line with the heavenly Tao. It's mainly because he has a good foundation that he was recognized by the heavenly Tao early on, Qing Emperor explained. To put it bluntly, the law of heavenly Tao likes your Junior Brother but doesn't like your master and the others. It can even be said that it doesn't even look straight at them. That's roughly what it means. Heavenly Monarch Yufei translated the words for him. A good foundation is just like how everyone likes a good-looking person when he's young. Even if he's ugly, no one likes him when he does good deeds. That's what it means. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said with a smile. Brother Yuandao, I don't have anything to say about your explanation. Qing Emperor was speechless at Yuandao Heavenly Lord's explanation. What's wrong? You don't let people talk about your ugly looks? Yuandao Heavenly Lord took a sip of tea and said. Hearing Yuandao Heavenly Lord's words, everyone laughed. Although they were usually in the same great world, they rarely had such interactions. Then, everyone discussed and decided to split into 2 groups. One group would guard this place, while the other would follow Night Sorrow and the 9 Heavens Army. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow and the 9 Heavens Army would definitely face the most difficult challenges. The teleportation formation here also had to be guarded. There was a law of war that forbade the destruction of inter-realm teleportation formations. However, the teleportation formation was used for war purposes. It was a strategic teleportation formation and could be easily attacked. While waiting for information, Night Sorrow would walk around the various armies every day to see how everyone was cultivating the joint attack formation. In addition, the various forces had already sent the best resources to the armies. Knowing that this was Night Sorrow's request, all the commanders and generals were very grateful. This was because rare resources were the foundation of a force. Under normal circumstances they would not be used. On this day Night Sorrow was about to go to the Nine Heavens Army's God-slaying territory to see his brothers when Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan came. Father, a spatial world has appeared around the Nine Regions world. It is now connected to the Nine Regions world. My sister and I plan to go in and explore it. However, Mother and aunts want us to get your permission first, Yi Yujun said. I know. The world is very big. I don't have time to investigate the situation. It might be dangerous inside, Night Sorrow said. Half a month ago, Night Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Sealing Palace knew about this. Because he was busy with the realm war, he did not pay attention to this matter. Father, you've been roaming the world since you were a young man. Although it has something to do with your situation back then, it's also inseparable from your determination. It's also inextricably linked to your achievements today. So, Father, you should let us go, Yi Yujun said. Aluo, what do you think? Night Sorrow looked at Dachura in the tent and said, your philosophy is that it is enough to fight for yourself. You can give your family a stable life. However, the children also need their own world. Although I may take responsibility for saying this, I am still their aunt, Dachura said. Aunts, this is my own choice. Even if something happens, I am grateful for your support, Yi Yujun said. The worlds around the Nine Regions world are places I should go, Night Sorrow muttered. Second update. Thank you to Ijuan Hua and ZZZZZ for unblocking yesterday's chapter. Thank you to 4 brothers for your support. Brothers, take a break and continue. Chapter 1399. Go to the Heaven Sealing Palace and get the concentric crystal from me. That way you can talk to Aunt Luo at any time. I will be the first to know if anything happens. Go. Night Sorrow said to Yi Yujun. Thank you, Aunt Luo. Thank you, Father. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan bowed. Perhaps I was wrong in the past. I want to be a good father, but you have your own path. I will not stand in your way. Go. Be careful. If anything happens, talk to Aunt Luo. If there is any danger, don't hide it. I will help you immediately. Night Sorrow said. Then Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan left. Night Sorrow, why did the spatial world suddenly appear? Dachura was confused. The Nine Regions world developed rapidly because of my cultivation, so many variables have appeared. However, it is not a big problem. Because I have the origin of the supreme world, some of the world's rules are ineffective against me. Only King can enter but not me. Therefore, if Yujun and Qingyan are in danger, I can enter to help, Night Sorrow said. Many spatial worlds restricted the entry of kings for self-protection. However, Night Sorrow was the master of the supreme world's origin. He could suppress some of the spatial world's rules. After his son and daughter left, Night Sorrow went to take a look at the God-slaying team. The members of the God-slaying team were improving rapidly, especially the talented ones. Long Jin had already become a mid-level king. There were also a few half-step kings. The rest were all advancing towards the high-level Holy King. The members of the God-slaying team were soldiers in the Nine Heavens Army. However, because they were improving, Nu Lin and the other generals did not restrict their freedom. They would often return to the time acceleration treasure in the city in the sky to cultivate. After that, they would train in actual combat in the army. Therefore, the speed and stability of their cultivation were not a problem. After asking some questions and giving some pointers, Night Sorrow returned to the main tent. Not long after Night Sorrow returned to the main tent, Summer City and a few secret guards returned. Uncle Summer, did you find anything? He asked after asking Hong Yi to make tea. I found something. This is the map of the Shenwu Great World that I bought in the city. Summer City took out a map and handed it to Night Sorrow. Yishang took the map and looked at it. He found that the map was very detailed and the division of the factions was very clear. Yishang observed the positions of the Zhanwu dynasty, Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley. He discovered that the three forces were rather close to each other and seemed to be guarding each other. Yishan felt that they could deal with Battle Sacred Hall first because it was closer to the mountain range. The second day after Summer City came back, Xian Daozi and Shang Guanhong also came back. They went out to gather information. Summer City looked for the map and the distribution of the factions as well as the situation of each city. Xian Daozi and Shang Guanhong brought people to gather information. Yishang took a look at the information and found that the Martial Sacred Hall wasn't that hard to fight. The Martial Sacred Hall had two overlords. One was the Hall Master, who was Sha Chongtian's master, and the other was the Grand Elder, Martial God Shiyang. The headquarters of the Martial Sacred Hall was located at the Martial Sacred Mountain, and the main city was the Divine Hall City. Other than the Palace Master and Martial God Shiyang, the strongest people were Sha Chongtian and the 3 Palace Protector Elders. They were all high-level monarchs. After some calculations, Knight Sorrow decided to take action. He had a high chance of winning. After that, Knight Sorrow embedded a teleportation crystal in the Interrealm teleportation array and set off with Xia Cheng. The others wanted to follow, but Knight Sorrow didn't. "Your Highness, they're dead for sure." Xia Cheng, who was following Yi Chang, was very excited. He knew Yi Chang's battle strategy and knew that Martial Sacred Hall would unknowingly fall for it and suffer heavy losses. "Yes. If everything goes well, we can destroy Martial Sacred Palace," Knight Sorrow said. Yi Shang did not have a good impression of the Martial Sacred Hall. Xiang Martial God was very shameless. Moreover, without the approval of the Martial Sacred Hall's Hall Master, the Martial Sacred Hall would not follow the Zhanwu dynasty as a lackey. The only person Yi Shang approved of was Sha Chongtian, who was a man and very courageous. "After destroying Martial Sacred Palace, the ones we need to kill are the Zhanwu dynasty and Poison King Valley," Summer City said excitedly. Knight Sorrow and Summer City were small targets. They wouldn't attract the attention of the big shots. A Heaven Master would only be able to sense other Heaven Master great leaders. The feeling of rejection or the feeling of the same origin between perfected willpower was very strong. Knight Sorrow's willpower also had power. However, it wasn't perfect and wouldn't be detected. In addition, Knight Sorrow had the secretive true body, which could seal all his aura. When they arrived at a more secluded area of Martial Sacred Mountain, Knight Sorrow set up a large-scale illusion array. He then set up a teleportation formation and teleported back to the stronghold in the Blue Shadow Mountain range. He called the commanders of the various armies and asked Jun Xuanji to arrange for everyone to teleport. Then, Knight Sorrow went to the main tent of the big shots and explained his strategy. "Yi Shang, according to your estimation, if we can suppress the other 2 Heaven Masters, then this battle with Martial Sacred Hall will be a battle of annihilation?" Sima Tianqing asked Yi Shang. "That's right. As long as the Sky Pillar Giants don't interfere, we can easily topple the Martial Sacred Hall. After the battle, the Martial Sacred Hall will only have 2 giants without an army," Yi Shang said confidently. "It's good to take them by surprise. If their 2 big shots want to make a move, then kill them together. In the future, there will be no more Martial Sacred Palace in the Shenwu Great World," Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. "Also, after the battle with Martial Sacred Palace, we have to move quickly. Our next target is Poison King Valley. We will use the same strategy to quickly deal with Poison King Valley," Knight Sorrow said. "Why not the Zhanwu dynasty?" Red Emperor asked. "It's easy to change the battle with the Tiger dynasty. They originally had 3 emperors. Including the traitorous Thunderfire Heaven Monarch, they have 4 big shots. They might resist and the battle situation won't be too stable. Rather than that, it's better to expand the battle results and deal a heavy blow to the 2 forces that have enmity with us first. This way we can expand our advantage," Knight Sorrow explained the reason for his choice. "I support it. What do you all think?" Qing Emperor looked at the group and asked. "No problem. It was decided from the beginning that the battle will be commanded by Knight Sorrow. Then we will follow Knight Sorrow's plan. Even if such a decision wasn't made, this strategy is the most suitable," Sima Tianqing said. Li Tianba and Red Emperor nodded to express their support. Third Watch. Chapter 1400. I have already set up the teleportation portal and the army has already started the teleportation. Everyone don't move first as they will discover us. I will go to the vicinity of Poison King Valley to set up the teleportation portal. Then I will come back to bring everyone there and start the massacre." Knight Sorrow told us what to do next. "Very good. Next you make the arrangements. We'll fight however you want," said Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord. He was very impressed with Yi Shan's tactical arrangements. "Since the war has started, there is no need to talk about sneak attacks. I just want to win. Also, to prevent us from losing our advantage in the final battle, it would be best if we can kill the Heaven Masters of Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley," Knight Sorrow said. "Kill the Heaven Masters too?" Lord of Heaven looked at Knight Sorrow in surprise. This was because Knight Sorrow was very different from before. He was full of fighting spirit. Why not? Didn't they start the battle of the Heaven Masters? Heavenly Lord Shin, who has made his move more than once in the Samsara Great Realm. If he can't defeat us, it means that he isn't strong enough. Now that we have a chance, we naturally have to expand our gains. That way, when we attack the martial dynasty, they won't be able to fight to the death even if they want to. Yishan explained the reason for his decision. That's right. When they attacked the reincarnation great world, Lord of Heaven God who made his move twice. It was just that the strength he was so proud of was ineffective. Now that we have the chance to get rid of a few despicable people, we should expand our advantage. Datura supported Night Sorrow's point of view. Even if Night Sorrow's point of view was wrong, she would support it unconditionally. It's decided. Night Sorrow, go and make the arrangements. Lord of Heaven said. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to everyone in the tent and went to make the arrangements. The analysis of the situation and the trend is on point. If we don't get rid of the Heaven Masters when we attack the Zhangwu dynasty, they will have a large number of Heaven Masters. They might fight to the death with us. If we get rid of a few first, we will have a huge advantage. When our army attacks the Zhangwu dynasty, they can only watch. If one wasn't strong enough, would they be able to open it? At that time, we will have the final say in how we fight. Yuandao Heavenly Lord said. Red Emperor, Datura, this king can understand how you felt when you were fighting against the Qing Emperor's imperial dynasty. Facing a commander with this kind of war command, anyone would have a headache. Sima Tianqing said with a smile. I was beaten up by my husband. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Datura said with a smile. If the realm war goes well and we win, the origin of the world of Samsara will be rewarded by the heavenly way. We will also be blessed by the origin of the world of Samsara. The benefits will be immeasurable. The Qing Emperor said. When the world's origin rewards him based on his contributions, the one who contributed the most is still him, haha. The commander of the Alliance army, the strategist, and the key person who decided the victory. We can't compare to him. Sima Tianqing said with a smile. He didn't do it intentionally. He just wanted to win this realm war. He probably didn't even think about what he would gain. The Qing Emperor shook his head. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't have any utilitarian intentions. Night Sorrow and Summer City carefully made their way to the Poison King's Valley area. Then they started to set up a teleportation array in the illusory array. After the teleportation array in the illusory array was connected to the one in the Martial God Palace, Night Sorrow and Summer City were teleported to the illusory array in the Martial God Palace area. Commander, you're here. Our army is ready to attack at any time, Jun Xuanji reported. Jun Xuanji reported. Nu Lin, Qiu He, Yufeng and the others nodded at Yishang. They were all prepared for battle. After the battle here, we need to quickly move to the next battlefield and attack the Poison King's Valley. I want to cripple the Martial God Palace and the Poison King's Valley in this battle, Night Sorrow said to the commanders and sovereigns present. Commander, you just came from the Poison King's Valley? Nu Lin asked. That's right. After the battle here, we need to quickly teleport over and start the battle. Night Sorrow nodded. Nu Lin and the others were very excited. The next battle was revenge. In the years that Night Sorrow wasn't around, everyone had been suppressed. Now that they had a chance to release their pent-up emotions, they were naturally excited and happy. After giving the order to prepare for battle, Night Sorrow teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain and arrived at the Sky Master's tent. I plan to attack the Martial God Palace at night. When the time comes, everyone just needs to rush over, Night Sorrow said. Okay, no problem. Qing Emperor nodded. Everyone teleport over after we start the battle. That way, even if their Sky Master senses it, it'll be useless. When the battle starts, they can only defend themselves. They won't have time to think of any countermeasures, Night Sorrow said. After the discussion, Night Sorrow returned to the illusion array in the Martial God Palace area and waited for the sky to turn dark. When the sky turned dark, the battle would begin. Night Sorrow was also a little excited. The next two battles would determine the direction of the world war between the two great worlds. All the legions were ready to fight at any time. Night Sorrow called the commanders of the various legions to the tent. Then he took out a map and told everyone the areas that each legion would be responsible for. After giving the instructions, Night Sorrow put away the map and waited for the time of the final battle to arrive. When the moon rose and the stars twinkled in the sky, Night Sorrow came out of the tent and called for everyone to gather. The next battle is the most crucial one. Thank you for your hard work. Everyone come back alive, Night Sorrow said. Commander Night, you don't have to be so polite. We know what to do, Yufeng said. Look at the original chapter. Section. Okay, then let's start the battle. Xuanji, go back and inform my master and the others that the battle has begun. Night Sorrow stopped the illusion array after he finished speaking. Then he led the Nine Heavens Legion to the core area of the Martial God Palace. That was the resource building, the area where the resources were hidden. Night Sorrow didn't say anything when someone blocked his way. He just waved his hand and killed. At that moment, the other Sky Masters who received the news also appeared. They had to pin down the two Sky Masters of the Martial God Palace. Everyone watch this place. I'll go and kill them. Dachura's body flashed and flew toward the area where he sensed the opportunity. Misty Rain and Lord of Precious Fragrance are here. The teleportation array can't be destroyed. Everyone else start killing. The two Sky Masters of the Martial God Palace must be eliminated today, the Red Emperor said. Night Sorrow led his men and charged toward the core area of the Martial God Palace. Night Sorrow killed anyone who blocked his way with Sky Splitter. When he sensed the auras of several Sky Masters, the Martial God Palace Master ended his cultivation and appeared in front of the pavilion. Martial God Shiyang also appeared. Shiyang, what's going on? The Martial God Palace Master's expression was very ugly. A sneak attack. The people of the Reincarnation Great World are attacking us. Martial God Shiyang looked up at the sky because Dachura had arrived. Fourth update. Today's update complete. Chapter 1401. Dark Dominator, what are you trying to do? The Martial Sacred Hall Master, who was wearing a long robe with golden cloud patterns, asked Dachura, what am I trying to do? Isn't that obvious? Of course I'm trying to kill you. Weren't you having a great time following Lord of Heaven God Tiger around? Today you will die. Dachura said as he struck with his hollow blade. A blade radiance slashed towards the Martial Sacred Hall Master. The Martial Sacred Hall Master's expression changed as he floated back. Then he held a long sword in his hand. He was very clear that today was a calamity because Mandela and Lord of Heaven God who had a slight advantage in the battle. Lord of Heaven God Tiger was the #1 expert in the Shenwu Great World. The Martial Sacred Hall Master was no match for him. In comparison, he was naturally no match for Dachura. Shiyang, quickly go to the Zhanwu dynasty and ask for help. The Martial Sacred Hall Master shouted as he retreated. He knew that if he wanted to escape today's calamity, he had to find an ally. Without an ally he would die today. Request for help? Don't count on it. Today you will pay the price for invading the world of samsara. Sandalwood appeared with her battle blade and charged towards Martial God Shiyang. Red Emperor, Sky Tiger Valley Master, you guys hold the formation. Qing Emperor, leave. We will kill his clone. You wanna run? Dream on. Lord of Heaven Yuandao shouted. Are you guys trying to kill me? Hearing Lord of Heaven Yuandao's words, the Martial Sacred Hall Master was shocked. Lord of Heaven Yuandao's words were equivalent to cutting off his path. Dachura's body flashed as he struck with his hollow blade again and again. The blade radiance formed a net that restricted the Martial Sacred Hall Master's movement space. The Martial God Palace Master's body flashed with light, and the long sword in his hand slashed fiercely in one direction, trying to open up a path of survival. However, Mandela was waiting for him in front of him, and she directly used the Great Death Destruction Slash. Don't push me too far. The Martial Sacred Hall Master roared as his clone was being attacked by Lord of Heaven Yuandao. I'm going to kill you. How can I push you too far? Why are you so talkative? The black halo triggered by Dachura's death annihilation slash enveloped the Martial God Hall Master. The hollow blade slashed toward the Martial God Hall Master's head with a blade beam. The Martial God Palace Master roared furiously as he struggled to resist the negative effects of the black halo. Absolute arts were not invincible. It also depended on the opponent's strength. The Martial God Palace Master was affected by the death obliteration slash's effects on his soul and spacetime. He fell into a predicament, but he did not lose consciousness. Therefore he tried his best to struggle. The Martial God Palace Master struggled to break free from the suppression and influence of the black light. Dachura's machete arrived. He could only hurriedly block. How could the Martial God Palace's Palace Master block the attack in a fluster? The long sword in his hand blocked the path of Dachura's hollow blade, but the blade aura pierced his body and forced him to retreat. After forcing the Martial Sacred Hall's Hall Master to retreat, Dachura caught up with him in a flash and performed the Great Death Destruction Slash once again. The martial god palace master roared furiously as he struggled to break free from the influence on his soul. Then he used his sword to block. After blocking twice, the martial god palace master was severely injured. His chest and abdomen were pierced by Datura's blade aura. Martial god Shiyang was in an even worse state. His original body and clone were fighting Qiao Tan at the same time. However, he was still at a disadvantage. Qiao Tan's attacks were extremely violent. She suppressed his original body and had already chopped off half of his original body. You are no longer a match for me. I have nothing to say to you. After saying that, the Red Emperor attacked and charged toward martial god Shiyang's clone. Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to the Divine Martial Pavilion and destroyed the teleportation array first. Then he continued to kill. He did not want any reinforcements to appear. Furious roars and screams rang out continuously. However, they were not from the Nine Heavens army. The Nine Heavens army soldiers gritted their teeth and killed. Even if they were injured, they did not make a sound. Silent killing was a tradition of the Nine Heavens army. Moreover, there were not many who were injured. At this moment, the Martial Sacred Hall was already in a daze. Battles broke out everywhere in the Martial Sacred Hall's region. Several legions surrounded and attacked together. Furthermore, the Martial Sacred Hall's Divine Hall Legion had nearly been destroyed some time ago. Hence, the Martial Sacred Hall did not have the strength to resist. It was a one-sided massacre. The battle between the powerhouses was still ongoing. However, the Martial Sacred Hall master couldn't withstand Datura's attacks at all. When Datura used his third ultimate move, he was killed. He didn't even have the chance to escape. Sandalwood also killed martial god Shiyang's main body. The Red Emperor and martial god Shiyang's clone were still fighting. The Red Emperor had the upper hand. Xuanji Nu Lin, go wash the resources and bring them away, Night Sorrow shouted. He wanted to kill the enemy, so he had to leave the looting to others. The 7 legions of the Nine Heavens army had destroyed the Martial Sacred Hall. Hence, there was no difficulty in looting the resources. After killing martial god Shiyang's main body, Sandalwood went towards martial god Shiyang's clone again. You caused trouble during my wedding. That's the reason why you died today. Red Emperor retreated. Sandalwood had no difficulty killing martial god Shiyang's clone. She had already killed the main body, so why couldn't she kill the clone? Everyone knew that the main body was stronger than the clone. At this moment, Yuandao Heavenly Lord and Qing Emperor returned. The Martial Sacred Hall Master's clone had already been killed by Yuandao Heavenly Lord. The battle was over. Only martial god Shiyang's clone was left struggling under Sandalwood's blade. Quickly, we're done here. Let's move on to the next battlefield, Night Sorrow ordered. Soon the war was over. Murderers killed, robbers killed, and the war was over. Sandalwood also killed martial god Shiyang's clone. Let's go to the teleportation formation. Let's start the next battle. Night Sorrow led his people and flew towards the teleportation formation. The heavenly lords were floating in the air. The arrangements are appropriate, the results are remarkable. The Crimson Emperor said with some emotion. Yes, when Shinwu Great World attacked us, they didn't give any orders. They just fought randomly. Compared to Night Sorrow, they were on a completely different level. Datura said. Of course, Night Sorrow's ability is related, but everyone's trust is also very important. Without everyone's support, Night Sorrow's strength would be limited. Qing Emperor said. Let's go. Let's stop sighing. Night Sorrow and the others are starting to teleport. After the Poison King's Valley is destroyed, we can drink tea and chat. Li Tianba said. At this time, Night Sorrow was leading his people to the teleportation formation. Destroying the Martial Sacred Hall and killing 2 heavenly lords was a great achievement. If the Poison King's Valley was eliminated, the Shinwu Great World strength would drop by a lot. The happiest parties were the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow and the Fortune Gate didn't have much interaction. When he was in the Ice Dragon world, the Fortune Gates by Yun led a team to hunt him down once. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the army was rapidly teleporting. What was important was to end the battle quickly and expand the battle results before the Shinwu Great World could react. First update. Chapter 1402. As there were too many people, the teleportation took half an hour to complete. After the teleportation, Night Sorrow turned around and saw that the Heaven Masters had arrived. He gave the order to start the battle. Several legions attacked together. In a short while, the disciples of the Poison King Valley were being slaughtered. Cries and howls could be heard everywhere. Although the disciples of the Poison King Valley cultivated poison arts, their protective chi shields were effective against poison arts if they were prepared. They were too fast and ruthless. The legions were all led by high-class monarchs. The disciples of the Poison King Valley weren't able to withstand them. The legions surrounded the headquarters of the Poison King Valley and continued the massacre. Damn it! All of you deserve to die. The Heaven Lord of Poison was floating above the Poison King Hall. He was already surrounded by the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation. It's you who deserves to die. You entered the world of reincarnation to show off your prowess and then ran back like nothing happened? Let's kill him and be done with it. The Red Emperor shouted and attacked. The Qing Emperor and the others didn't stay idle. The Heaven Lord of Poison was proficient in poison. If they didn't kill him quickly and give him a chance to use poison, it would be troublesome. The Heaven Masters might be fine, but it would be fatal for the soldiers. The Heaven Lord of Poison was flustered when the Heaven Lord of Poison attacked at the same time. He couldn't resist at all and his legs were chopped off by the Heaven Lord of Origin Dao. Then, the Qing Emperor's Great Emperor Reincarnation / and Dachura's Great Death Destruction / landed on his body. Translator. Lon_editor. Ephidacia. Without a doubt, the Heaven Lord of Poison was chopped up by the Heaven Masters of the world of reincarnation. He didn't even have the chance to release the clone in his body before he was annihilated. Lord Ruler, take it easy. The saber radiance almost cut me, Li Tianba muttered. Dachura's saber aura was too fast. Li Tianba, who was opposite her, was almost injured by the saber aura after it pierced through the Heaven Lord of Poison. Stupid. Dachura glanced at the Heaven Lord of Poison. Night Sorrow led a few legions and washed the Poison King Valley with blood. If someone was poisoned, there would be others who would immediately come to their aid. Everyone had brought top-notch resources with them, so detoxifying the poison would not be a problem. After collecting the resources, Night Sorrow turned to the Sky Master's side. 2 battles have been completed. This was a surprise attack. Next it will be a head-on battle. Very good. You destroyed 2 forces and 3 Sky Masters in 1 move. The results of the battle are already beyond our expectations. I was just thinking that if you were a cultivator from Xinwu Great World, some of us might have already fallen, Sima Tianqing said. Our current achievements are inseparable from your support. Why can't they make progress in the Samsara world? Due to the lack of trust between the various factions, the Alliance Army does not have a unified command. This does not apply to us, so we have the advantage and they have the disadvantage, Night Sorrow said. That's right. Without a unified command, how can tactics and strategies be carried out perfectly? Therefore, the situation is in our favor. Sima Tianqing said. Let's go back and have some tea. After that, we will split the spoils. Night Sorrow said to the group with a smile. Following that, the group left. Night Sorrow brought up the rear and dismantled the 2 teleportation arrays before returning to Blue Eagle Mountain. Night Sorrow called Jun Xuanji, Nu Lin, Qiuhe, and Yu Feng, who were collecting the resources, over. The principle of resource distribution is to be divided equally among the major factions. However, those who have suffered heavy losses will get more. You guys decide what to do next. Night Sorrow said to the commanders. All the Sky Masters nodded. Night Sorrow had done a good job. Also, all the legions should rest. I will study the next target. Night Sorrow said. There was no problem with resource distribution. All the resources from the 2 top factions gave everyone a good income. Night Sorrow went to the 9 Heavens Army to take a look. There were 100 injured and some dead. They were poisoned and could not be rescued in time. Although Night Sorrow was heartbroken, he knew that this was unavoidable. People would die in a war. If there were no deaths, it would not be a war. Night Sorrow emphasized that they had to deal with the aftermath properly before returning to his tent. The Xinwu Great World was in an uproar. 2 top factions were destroyed and 3 Sky Masters fell. This had not happened in countless years. Everyone in the Xinwu Great World knew that it was done by the Reincarnation Great World. However, no one knew where the Reincarnation Great World's people were. The Reincarnation Great World's attacks were sharp. With lightning speed, they destroyed 2 top factions and killed 3 Sky Masters before retreating. This made all the factions in the Xinwu Great World uneasy. No one knew which faction the Reincarnation Great World's next target would be. In the Skymoon City Lord's mansion of the Skymoon Pavilion, Lin Qingyi was talking to an old man in plain robes. Qingyi, are you saying that the Reincarnation Great World will not attack us? The old man asked. The old man in plain robes was the Pavilion Lord of the Skymoon Pavilion, the 3 Sons Lord of Heaven. He had been to the reincarnation Great World before. However, after Lin Qingyi was defeated, he returned to the Shenwu Great World. He had participated in the Realm War before. Since he had lost, he did not care. Night Sorrow said that as long as we do not participate in the Realm War, they will not come to our region. He is now the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. He can still make this decision, Lin Qingyi said. Her clone was in charge of the captives in the reincarnation Great World. Her original body had returned to the Shenwu Great World with the three sons Lord of Heaven. The martial sacred hall brought this upon themselves. Back then, they wanted to snatch the heavenly Tao artifact and then declared war. It caused a huge commotion. Now they followed the Zhanhu dynasty and started the Realm War. Hence, they brought this upon themselves. However, the enemy's methods were quite ruthless. They directly launched a thunderous attack and destroyed two forces. They killed 3 Heaven Masters. Their original body and clone were all destroyed. This was a fatal blow. The 3 sons Lord of Heaven took a deep breath. He was even a little afraid because this method was too difficult to defend against. Master, we have lost this Realm War. The main reason is that we were unrighteous. Our reason for participating in the Realm War was not justified. The Zhanwu dynasty lost 2 powerful allies. It will be almost impossible for them to win the Realm War in the future, Lin Qingyi said. The Heaven Masters of the Reincarnation Great World are really bold. They actually let a young man become the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces. The 3 sons Lord of Heaven did not understand. This was because it was equivalent to handing over his army to someone else. He had to accept it as cannon fodder. Night Sorrow is very strong, especially when it comes to war. He was able to gain the trust of others. The main reason is that he is a cultivator of the body of merit. He will not do things that go against his conscience. In addition, he is strong enough to be promoted. He also gained the support of everyone in the reincarnation Great World, Lin Qingyi said. If we lost, then we lost. We also contributed to the Realm War. If Heaven Master God who thinks that he is strong enough, then he can solve the problem himself, the 3 sons Lord of Heaven said. Second update. Thank you for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 1403. The Zhanwu dynasty is arrogant and overbearing. Now that they've kicked an iron plate, they won't take this lying down. They destroyed Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley because they were the most aggressive. Destroying them was also an opportunity to widen the gap between the Reincarnation Great World and the Shenwu Great World. They succeeded and destroyed 3 of the giants of the Shenwu Great World. Now the Shenwu Great World is not afraid of a head-on battle. They won't be at a disadvantage even if they fight head-on, Lin Qingyi said. We don't care about this anymore. As long as they don't come to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's territory, it's fine. As for the Realm War that hurt the Reincarnation Great World, we'll compensate them. If we lose and can't defeat them, we'll have to pay the price. That's the rule, the 3 sons Lord of Heaven said. I understand. I'll talk to him when I can, Lin Qingyi said. Lin Qingyi said. She didn't know where Yi Shang and his men were, so there was no way to negotiate. After settling everything, Night Sorrow went to the tent where the Sky Master was. He drank tea and chatted with everyone. Night Sorrow, what's next? Li Tianba asked. There's no hurry. The Realm War isn't over in a day or 2. What we want is victory. As long as we win, it doesn't matter if it's earlier or later, Night Sorrow said. That's right. What's the hurry? The precious fragrance Lord of Heaven glared at Li Tianba. These bastards need to be dealt with. Today's battle was so satisfying that I want to do it a few more times, Li Tianba said with a smile. Hee, there's no hurry. It's still early for the Realm War to end. Everyone stay here for now. I'll go back to Black Fiend City to take a look. There are many captives there. We have to be safe, Night Sorrow said. Qing Emperor and the rest nodded. The stability of the Reincarnation Great World was a must. Night Sorrow returned to Black Fiend City through the teleportation formation. He went to the place where the captives lived. Seeing Night Sorrow, Lin Qingyi was stunned. Aren't you commanding the Realm War? Yes, after 2 battles, I was worried about the stability of your side, so I came to take a look, Night Sorrow said. I will do what I promised you, Lin Qingyi said. I believe you. If there's a situation or a riot, the 2 armies in Black Fiend City will go out. If there's a need, you can also inform them, Night Sorrow said. Currently, the Chiwa Army and the Green Phoenix Army were stationed in Black Fiend City. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. There's something else I want to talk to you about. Lin Qingyi knew that Night Sorrow was worried. She also wanted to talk to her master about the matter. After all, it was not easy to see Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow followed Lin Qingyi into the tent. Martial God Palace Lord, Martial God Shiyang and Poison King Heaven Monarch were all killed by you guys. You guys are fast, Lin Qingyi said after brewing a pot of tea. How do you know? I understand now. You have a doppelganger in Shenwu Great World. Night Sorrow understood immediately. My master wants me to talk to you. There are some things that I won't hide from you. Our Heavenly Moon Pavilion participated in the World War, and although we have withdrawn now, we still fought in the world of reincarnation. Hence, we have to give you an explanation. You can tell me what you want. My master just doesn't want the Heavenly Moon Pavilion region to be affected by the flames of war, Lin Qingyi said. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion is very gentlemanly. If it's my personal matter, there's no need to ask for anything. However, it's the Alliance Army now. You guys can arrange for me to explain to the Alliance Army, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay, there's a Qingyi Marquis mansion in Heavenly Moon City. That's my territory. If you trust me, you can find me. Go to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. If I can't guarantee your safety, I'll be abandoned by everyone, Lin Qingyi said. Okay, I'll go when I have time, Night Sorrow nodded. You're really powerful. You've reduced part of the Shenwu Great World strength in one go. Your victory rate in the realm war is more than half. The allies of the Zhanwu dynasty have been defeated by you, so they don't have much say, Lin Qingyi said. It's not my intention to kill. However, people should be indomitable and have a clear conscience. The Shenwu Great World started a realm war on our world of samsara. They killed people and robbed resources. As a cultivator of the world of samsara, I can't take this lying down, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. I don't think you're wrong either. This is the way of the world, Lin Qingyi said. Only one original copy. Others are all stolen copies. Original copy. After Night Sorrow returned to the Blue Eagle Mountain in the Shenwu Great World, he first sent out the spies of the Angry Lin army to gather information. Then, he went to the big tent of the Sky Master and told him about the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's decision. They're purely fighting for the realm war. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, as long as they withdraw from the realm war, we can't pursue the matter. I think that since they're willing to give an explanation, you can make the arrangements, Sima Tianqing said. It's actually a matter of face. For the sake of stability, they're willing to give us an explanation. This is good for both sides, Red Emperor said. That's what I was thinking too. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I don't want to become a traitor when the time comes for more or less resources, said Yishan. This was his purpose for coming here. He didn't want others to not understand. What are you talking about? Even if someone calls us traitors, no one will call you a traitor, Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Everyone smiled and nodded. That was the truth. No matter who was a traitor, Night Sorrow wouldn't be a traitor. In the current situation of the world of reincarnation, Night Sorrow was the commander and the Sky Master was his henchman. Everyone, please take care of this place. I'll be leaving for a while later, Night Sorrow said. You're leaving? Aren't you the commander of the army? Sima Tianqing frowned. I only had a brief discussion with the Marquis of Qingyi about the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. They invited me over and promised my safety. Once we get rid of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, we'll have one less opponent, Night Sorrow said. Promise? Maybe they don't mean to hurt you, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. Qing Emperor didn't agree. Night Sorrow's safety was too important. How about this? I'll go with you. The other party is sincere. It wouldn't be appropriate if we don't go. Let's go and see the situation. Even if something happens, it won't be difficult for us to escape unscathed. Dachura stood up and said. If you asked who was most worried about Night Sorrow, it would be Dachura. In her heart, Night Sorrow was an indomitable man. At the same time, he also needed to be taken care of and loved because he had a lot to bear. That's fine. Also, it's not appropriate for us to go out rashly. I've already sent out spies to gather information. When I return, we can start the next battle, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow and Dachura left the tent. There won't be any danger. Let's just treat it as a sightseeing trip. We'll go to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion as guests, Night Sorrow said. Third watch. Chapter 1404. You sure are confident. I like your aura and boldness, Dachura said with a smile. Hehe. Your words make me feel sweet in my heart. What men care about the most is their woman's evaluation, Yishan said. Dachura smiled because she liked this feeling. No matter how imposing Night Sorrow was when he led the army, no matter how strong his killing intent was when he faced his enemies, he would always be gentle and polite when facing his family and wife. In the commander's tent, Yi Shang and Mandela left Blue Eagle Mountain after informing New Lin and Jun Xuanji. They flew toward the nearest city. When they arrived at the nearest city, Night Sorrow and Dachira began to teleport. The Shinwu Great World was dominated by human cultivators. Dachira wore a veil to cover her beautiful face, so she didn't attract too much attention. After a few teleportations, the two arrived at the Sky Moon Pavilion's territory. After another teleportation, Night Sorrow and Dachira arrived at Sky Moon City. When the soldier guarding the teleportation array saw Night Sorrow and Dachira, he took 2 steps back because he could see Night Sorrow's cultivation. "We don't have any hostility. We are only here to find someone. Can you take us to the Qingyi Marquis residence?" Night Sorrow asked. "You are looking for the young pavilion master?" The soldier stopped the soldiers who surrounded them and asked. "Yes, Lin Qingyi asked me to go to the Qingyi Marquis residence to find her," Night Sorrow said. The soldier was a little hesitant. The other soldiers still surrounded Night Sorrow and Dachira. "It's fine if you can't take us. We will wait. You can go and report," Night Sorrow said again. "Why are you wasting your breath on them? They invited us here, yet they don't know how to treat us courteously?" Dachira was a little angry as he released the suppressed aura of his leakless true body. Dachira had just released his aura when an elder appeared. It was the 3 Suns' heavenly monarch, who was wearing a plain robe and a silver crown. "Don't be rude. Step down." 3 Suns' heavenly monarch shouted at the soldiers. Dachira cupped his hands at the 3 Suns' heavenly monarch. "Lord Ruler is here. They don't know how to be polite. Sorry for offending you." The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch had met Dachira before. In the reincarnation great world, he had watched the battle between Dachira and Heaven Lord Shenhu. "Nothing much. I was just following Night Sorrow for a walk." Seeing that the 3 Suns' heaven monarch's attitude was better, Dachira restrained his aura. "Forever free of charge, see small carrot say, 'Lord Ruler, you think too much. Since we invited Commander Knight, I will definitely take good care of him," said the 3 Suns' princess. Then, the 3 Suns' heavenly monarch brought Night Sorrow and Dachira to the Qingyi Marquis residence. "Commander Knight is here. Qingyi did not welcome you properly." Night Sorrow and the others had just arrived at the Qingyi Marquis residence when Lin Qingyi appeared. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Lin Qingyi. After entering the residence, Lin Qingyi personally brewed some tea. "Commander Knight, Lord Ruler, as a force of the Shinwu Great World, participating in this realm war is the responsibility of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. However, we have brought trouble to the reincarnation Great World. If the Heavenly Moon Pavilion wants to withdraw from this war, they must give us an explanation." "I understand this." The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch was straightforward. "Lord Heavenly Monarch, you are reasonable. From my point of view, this is nothing. However, we must give the Alliance and the Allied forces an explanation," said Night Sorrow. "This is the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's compensation to the reincarnation Great World. We only ask that the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region be spared from the flames of war." The 3 Suns' princess took out a storage ring and placed it in front of Night Sorrow. "Lord Heavenly Monarch, you are too kind. When Night Sorrow returns, I will explain this matter to the leaders of the reincarnation Great World. The Alliance will not attack the Heavenly Moon Pavilion," said Night Sorrow. "Aren't you going to take a look at what's in the storage ring?" The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch looked at Night Sorrow in confusion. "Actually, it doesn't matter what's in the storage ring. Lord Heavenly Monarch's attitude is enough. Rather than saying that the storage ring is compensation, it's more like an attitude that we need," said Night Sorrow. "All right." The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch nodded. "After today's matter, our people will not enter the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region. Furthermore, today's matter will not be leaked. Although you are doing this for the sake of the people of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's region, you will not be able to avoid criticism," said Night Sorrow. The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch nodded. "I didn't expect you to understand me." The few of them sat for a while. The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch instructed Lin Qingyi to take care of the guests before he left. The matter had been settled. After checking into the guest room that Lin Qingyi had arranged for them, Night Sorrow opened the storage ring. 300,000 sacred spirit stones. This is not a small amount of compensation. "Things have gone smoothly," said Night Sorrow. "Not bad. The 3 Suns' heavenly monarch has seen things clearly. He knows that the situation is irreversible. He participated in the realm war to obtain the reward of the origin of the realm. Now that the realm war is out of the question, protecting the region from now on is also a merit, said Datura. There is no right or wrong in the first place. It's just that our goals are different. He is also a smart person. He knows when to retreat, said Night Sorrow. This is good for everyone. After all, we have one less opponent. Datura nodded. After staying at the Qingyi Marquis residence for 2 days, Night Sorrow declined Lin Qingyi's invitation to stay. He left the residence with Datura and rushed back to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Night Sorrow, what is your next target? Asked Datura. The Fortune Gate. Bai Taisong's Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow said. Bai Taisong's Fortune Gate is very strong. Bai Taisong does not make a move easily, but most people acknowledge his strength. The Fortune Gate and the Zhanwu dynasty are allies. Unlike the Poison King's Valley and Martial God Palace, the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate are allies of the same level. This is because Heavenly Monarch God whose strength is not a threat to Bai Taisong, said Datura. The last time I went to the Ice Dragon realm, people from the Fortune Gate chased after me. Their style of doing things is also ruthless. The time is not ripe to directly attack the Zhanwu dynasty. In that case, let's take down the Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. She had also commanded armies in battle in the past, so she knew that Night Sorrow's strategy was correct. Night Sorrow returned to the command tent on the Blue Eagle Mountain and gave the Heavenly Moon Pavilion storage rings to Jun Xuanji for him to distribute to the armies of the various forces. It was difficult for him to get resources for the various armies, so naturally he would not give them to the powerhouses. At this time, the spies returned one by one and reported the results of their investigation to Night Sorrow. There is still the invincible monarch. This is my business. Aluo, I want to know how the world war in the outside world is decided? Night Sorrow looked at Datura and asked. Divine Martial City. As long as we take down the Divine Martial City, we will win the world war. This is the judgment of the Heavenly Tao. The other thing is to kill until the other side is convinced. You know how difficult this is? Datura said. If we attack the Divine Martial City now, we might be able to take it down, but we will definitely suffer heavy losses. So we can't be too hasty. Take down the Fortune Gate first. Fortune Gate, they actually dared to give it such a name. Night Sorrow muttered in a low voice. Because they have treasures. The sect was named because of their treasures. Datura said. The 4th update has arrived. Today's update is complete. Chapter 1405. Datura then explained the situation of the Fortune Gate to Night Sorrow. The Fortune Gate was not an established force in the Shenwu Great World. The Fortune Lord Bai Taisong was also a heavenly lord, but no one dared to look down on him. The reason why Bai Taisong was able to become a heavenly lord and establish a top force was because of a treasure, the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion was a treasure that surpassed the monarch weapon and could seize the fortune of the heavens. Because it could seize the fortune of the heavens, it was called the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. Is it an auxiliary treasure? Night Sorrow asked. It's a defensive treasure, similar to your space-time pagoda, but it can seize the fortune of the heavens, so it's amazing. Datura said. We have to fight even if it's strong, but we have to be careful. Night Sorrow said. With the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate, we can't win the realm war, so we have to take care of them. Also, as you said, the realm war is not something that can be done in a day, we can't rush it. Datura said. She knew Night Sorrow's ability, but she was worried that Night Sorrow would be impatient. Don't worry, I know what's important and I won't act rashly. Let's take care of the average forces first, and take down the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate last. I feel like I'm being suppressed. Night Sorrow said. What suppression? Datura asked, puzzled. I can't say for sure, but it seems like it's a pressure from the soul and will. It should be the rejection of the Shenwu Great World. Night Sorrow said. Datura looked at Night Sorrow, then told Night Sorrow some things about the Realm War. The Realm War was a fight for the fortune of the two worlds, which was also a fight for the heavens' favor. Not only did cultivators need fate and the heavenly Tao's blessing, but the spatial world also needed it. This would reduce the number of tribulations and extend the lifespan of the spatial world. The Realm War between the Shenwu Great World and the Samsara Great World was a competition for fate. The winner would obtain the fate of both worlds. Night Sorrow had represented the Samsara Great World in battle and had dealt heavy damage to the Divine Martial Great World several times. Thus, the Divine Martial Great World's origin source had a relatively strong blessing of destiny. Naturally, the Divine Martial Great World's origin source could sense it. Sensing the threat and harm brought by Night Sorrow, the origin of Shinwu Great World was naturally hostile to Night Sorrow. So that's how it is. So be it. After knowing the reason, Night Sorrow knew that he could only bear with it. Try activating the light of merit. The origin of the Great World can't surpass the Merit Saint. The origin of the Great World can't suppress the Merit Saint. That's a blasphemy to the heavenly Tao. Datura reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow tried to activate the energy of the golden body of merit in his body. The golden light of merit outside the divine sea in his head also emitted naturally. As Night Sorrow activated the light of merit, the suppression retreated and disappeared without a trace. It's really effective. Night Sorrow shrugged his shoulders. If you have strength and confidence, you have to show it. Whoever touches you after that will have to bear the consequences. The origin of the Great World can suppress the Merit Saint. This is against the heavenly Tao. Datura snorted coldly. At this time in the Shinwu city, a man stood facing the wind on a mountain in the east. I provoked the Merit Saint. The battle of forces turned into a realm war. It's my mistake. In a mature spatial world, the origin of the Great World had spiritual wisdom and could transform. This was the case in the Nine Clouds world and the Three Great Worlds. The world of Samsara had the Samsara Palace, the Black-Yellow Great World had the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth, and the Shinwu Great World also had the Shinwu Fighting Heaven, which was similar in nature to the Samsara Palace. When several forces in the Shinwu Great World declared war on the world of Samsara, the origin of Shinwu Great World thought that these forces were confident, so it launched a realm war in the name of the origin of the Great World. However, the result was beyond its expectation. It was a crushing defeat and lost the war in the world of Samsara. If the attack failed, it would not attack. The cessation of the realm war did not have a big impact on the Shinwu Great World. But now, the world of Samsara had already attacked. Look at the original chapter on the first page of the book. When the origin of the Shinwu Great World found that Night Sorrow was the commander of the allied forces and there was still the origin of the world of Samsara in his body, it inadvertently suppressed him. When the origin of the Shinwu Great World found that Night Sorrow was the Sage of Merit, it hurriedly withdrew the inadvertent suppression. As the origin of the world, it was the master of the Shinwu Great World, but it could not touch the Sage of Merit, even if he was the meritorious person of the world of Samsara. Although it felt helpless, the origin of the Shinwu Great World understood that it could only let nature take its course. In the following years and months, its fate was far worse than that of the world of Samsara. Night Sorrow felt much more comfortable. Being suppressed was like a shackle on his body. It was very uncomfortable. Night Sorrow went to various legions and then walked around. After the realm war broke out, it was always a high-intensity battle, so the legion's ability to fight continuously was very important. When they saw Night Sorrow coming to check on them, all the sergeants who saw Night Sorrow bowed to salute him. First of all the sergeants had to respect his identity as the commander of the allied forces. Secondly, Night Sorrow's character and strength of character were respected. Night Sorrow really valued the sergeants. In order to increase the sergeants' chances of survival, Night Sorrow even put aside his face and asked for resources from the chiefs of various forces to increase the sergeants' chances of survival. After looking around, Night Sorrow found that although the legions had gone through several battles, their spirits were still very good. Xuanji informed the city guards of the Qing Emperor's city to send some good wine over, Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji. When the legions went out to war, the city guards of various forces were responsible for supplying them. Night Sorrow returned to the tent and fell into deep thought. His current strength was enough to fight against a heaven overlord, but it was only limited to survival. If his main body was not in a state of enlightenment, he could go and refine the soul cultivation liquid now. Then his actual combat strength would increase greatly. However, to Night Sorrow, the most important thing was to increase his comprehension of willpower. The soul cultivation liquid could be refined at any time, but the opportunity to comprehend willpower was hard to come by. If he stopped now, he did not know when he would be able to enter a state of high-speed comprehension again. Night Sorrow would not do something like neglecting the essentials. Strengthening the soul was the foundation, but it could be done sooner or later. In addition, Night Sorrow's soul power was already very strong because his soul had been strengthened and repaired by the space-time pagoda. The perfection of the soul was very important. A cultivator's soul had flaws, and it could be said that everyone was like this. However, Night Sorrow's soul was perfect because it had been strengthened by the space-time pagoda. In this aspect, only Night Sorrow had this condition. The space-time pagoda belonged to Night Sorrow, and Shao Kahn only recognized Night Sorrow as its master. It only recognized Night Sorrow as its master. Other people could cultivate, but there was no special treatment. Artifact spirits were arrogant and only recognized their masters. This was a rule that no one could change. Night Sorrow was originally puzzled as to why the space-time pagoda was so strong that it could change the level of the soul. After knowing that it was a heavenly artifact, he understood that it was not strange for a heavenly artifact to have this ability. But the first update has arrived. Chapter 1406. All this time, Night Sorrow had been using the space-time treasure pagoda when he wasn't in seclusion. However, there were some special treatments that others didn't have. Only Night Sorrow had the privilege of repairing and perfecting one's soul. As for time and space energy, Shao Kahn was only using it for Night Sorrow. That was to say, others didn't have this privilege. When Jiyu family's Jiyu Fenglan wanted to advance his Earth attribute to space attribute, he couldn't get the help of the space-time treasure pagoda. He could only stay at the top of the space-time treasure pagoda and comprehend the laws of space when the space-time treasure pagoda absorbed the energy of heaven and earth. Recognition wasn't only needed between people. The recognition of a treasure's artifact spirit was also very important. The recognition of the world's origin was even more heaven-defying. What are you thinking about? Datura entered the tent. Nothing, I'm just wondering what the Fortune Gate's immortal fortune pavilion is like. It can seize the fortune of heaven and earth. Night Sorrow said. I don't know the specifics of the Immortal Fortune Pavilion because it's a secret of the Fortune Gate. Bai Taesong won't tell anyone, but it's definitely powerful. Datura said. Then if there's a chance, we can snatch it and study it slowly. Night Sorrow said. Sure, if there's a chance we'll snatch it. There's no need to be polite. Datura said with a smile. Yishang smiled and nodded. This idea was possible, but one could imagine the difficulty. The treasure of a heaven master magnate, the cornerstone treasure of a top force, was not easy to snatch. There was only one way to snatch it, and that was to kill Lord of Creation by Taiching. Night Sorrow came up with a plan. Spies would spread the news that some forces could withdraw from the World War. As long as they showed sincerity and announced that they wouldn't interfere in the World War, they could survive. If they were stubborn, then Martial God Palace and Poison King Valley would be examples. Night Sorrow wouldn't be lenient. First, intimidate, divide. This was Night Sorrow's tactic, psychological warfare. Of course, this tactic wasn't effective in the early stages. If you don't have any battle records, who's afraid of you? However, things were different now. Martial Sacred Hall and Poison King Valley were both top forces. The fact that these two forces had been destroyed proved the strength of the reincarnation Great World. Night Sorrow's request was that if there were any forces that were willing to compromise and withdraw from the realm war, they would post a notice on the 4 gates of the main city and send people over. Half a month after the news was released, there were already 2 major powers that announced their withdrawal from the realm war, choosing to compromise. They were all major powers and their strength was only average. Hence, they were worried that the world of reincarnation would wipe them out with lightning speed. Right now, everyone was worried about it. The negotiations were handled by Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood. It was mainly for the sake of safety. If there was a battle, Datura and Sandalwood would be able to hold on until the other heavyweights arrived. In addition, it wasn't that easy for anyone to set up an ambush. That was because Heaven Masters all had senses. It was very difficult to set up an ambush in advance unless one's speed was especially fast. Just like how Night Sorrow brought people to the Martial Sacred Hall, they teleported out in an instant. However, Datura and Sandalwood weren't afraid. The first force to compromise was a family power. The head of the family was a Heaven Master. Because he didn't want his descendants to be sacrificed in the war, he had no choice but to compromise after receiving the news. After receiving 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones as compensation and hearing the family heads vow to not participate in the realm war, Night Sorrow also made a promise to not attack this region. Other than that, Night Sorrow had another request. When the reincarnation Great World attacked the Divine Martial City in the future, this family power couldn't participate. After receiving a positive reply, Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood left. Very good, this tactic is not bad. Now we have one less opponent. Now that we have dealt with 4 forces, there are still 3 forces that are hesitating. The Zhanwu dynasty and Fortune Gate won't compromise. Night Sorrow said as they hurried. Martial Sacred Hall, Poison King Valley, Heavenly Moon Pavilion, and Lu Clan were the 4 forces that had decided to withdraw. If only these 2 forces were left, we could kill them by force. In fact, we already have the conditions to do so, but the losses would be great. Datura said. If we can win the war with a small price, there is no need to fight to the death. I won't tell anyone that the Heavenly Moon Pavilion is withdrawing from the Realm War, but smart people can see that the attitude of a force withdrawing from the Realm War is obvious. Therefore it will affect the judgment of others. Night Sorrow said. Datura and Sandalwood nodded. This was human psychology. Following the trend was everyone's awareness. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow arranged for the Angry Lin Army spies and secret guards to continue spreading the news and psychological attacks. After evenly dividing the resources and drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow sat down and cultivated, continuing to perfect his virtuous physique. The war was stable. Night Sorrow felt that the Shinwu Great World would be the first to fall. The Heaven Masters were also very calm. What was the situation? This was the situation now. The situation had opened up. This was the current situation. The Shinwu Great World was in chaos. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion's forces had all retreated to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion's territory. The Lu clan, who had negotiated with Night Sorrow, also retreated. This was a signal. No one in the world was stupid. Naturally, they knew what was going on. Furthermore, many people knew that the Lu clan had posted notices on the 4 gates of the main city. Following that, another sect posted notices on the 4 gates of the main city. Night Sorrow went to negotiate with the Lu clan once again. To put it bluntly, he had accepted their surrender. Saying that he had reconciled was giving them face. Every cultivator cared about face. There were still 4 other sections. Other than the stubborn Divine Martial Dynasty and Fortune Gate, there were still some who were uncertain about the situation. Since they had not made a choice, Night Sorrow decided to force them to make a choice. Night Sorrow brought Summer City to a second-rate city in the territory of the Wolf King sect. He set up an illusion array and transmission array, then returned with the 9 Heavens Legion. He first destroyed the transmission array, then washed the city lord's manor with blood. He left a message that if they did not make a choice, they would not attack a second-rate city next time. They would directly destroy the main city. After the battle, Night Sorrow brought his forces back to the Blue Eagle Mountain. He used the Spirit Explosion Array to destroy the transmission array, making it so that the Wolf King sect did not know where their opponents were. After returning to the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow calmed down. Night Sorrow brought people to kill. The other side is feeling very uncomfortable and forced to make a choice. Everyone knows that if they continue to resist, then Night Sorrow will kill them the next time. At that time it will be too late to regret. Red Emperor said. This is the trend of the heavens. Night Sorrow is using this trend to suppress them. Do they submit? Do they not submit? Everyone knows the result. Sima Tiancheng said with a smile. They bullied our reincarnation world. Now they are being bullied back. Precious Fragrance said with a smile. Wait and see. We will follow his arrangements. If he needs us, we will fight. Origin Dao Heavenly Lord said. Big. Second update. Thank you old bro and Director P. Chapter 1407. After drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow arrived at the Sky Pillar Tycoon's tent. Here, this is good wine. Give me a pot. Li Qianba handed Night Sorrow a pot of wine. Yishang smiled, took it and took a sip. Is something wrong? Qing Emperor asked. I'm a little confused. I want to know if the Wolf King sect is waiting for us in the Shinwu Dynasty and Fortune Gate. I've sent people to scout for information. There's a connection between Heaven Masters and Heaven Masters, so they can't go. Even if sovereign kings and sovereigns go, they won't be able to find out anything. Yishang voiced out his dilemma. We can go. We have a way to seal our own aura. You know that. However, ambushes are useless for people at our level. At most, we can launch sneak attacks, pin them down and surround them, Emperor Qing said. Since that's the case, there's no need for backup. Night Sorrow nodded. Panic. The Wolf King sect was in a state of panic. The Wolf King sect was also a peak force. If the world of reincarnation were to annihilate the Wolf King sect, they wouldn't be able to hold on. Ask for peace. The Wolf King sect posted notices on all 4 gates of the main city. However, Night Sorrow didn't go immediately. Since they had posted the notice, they wouldn't attack for the time being. He would go later. After cultivating for a few days, Night Sorrow brought Datura and Sandalwood to the Wolf King sect. At the same time, the other Sky Pillar tycoons were also nearby to prepare for war. In other words, if the Wolf King sect had an ambush, they would have to fight in advance. The world of reincarnation wasn't afraid of fighting in advance. At most, they would suffer some losses. The Wolf King sect's Heavenly Lord Wolf King had thought of asking Heavenly Lord Shinhu to join forces and kill the people who came to negotiate with him. However, his eldest disciple, Zen-Yi, reminded him that if he joined forces with Heavenly Lord Shinhu and the others, they might be able to fight against the world of reincarnation. Regardless of the result, it would be a disaster for the Wolf King sect. Even if the world of reincarnation suffered losses and their Sky Pillar tycoons died, it would be easy for them to destroy the Wolf King sect. Therefore, it would be safest to negotiate with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Lu clan. In addition, Chan-Yi suggested joining forces with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Lu clan to prevent the Zhanwu dynasty from causing trouble if they withdrew from the Realm War. After all, withdrawing from the Realm War meant abandoning them. The Zhanwu dynasty was domineering, and Chan-Yi was worried that the Zhanwu dynasty would cause trouble after the Realm War. Night Sorrow, Datura, and Sandalwood arrived. Heavenly Lord Wolf King and his eldest disciple, Zen-Yi, received them. According to Night Sorrow's request, they took out the compensation for withdrawing from the Realm War. The Heavenly Lord Wolf King swore an oath. Not only did he withdraw from the Realm War, but Night Sorrow also requested that the Wolf King sect would not interfere with the Reincarnation World's attack on the Shinwu city. Although the Heavenly Lord Wolf King was unwilling, he still swore the Heavenly Tao Oath. After receiving the compensation and the Heavenly Lord Wolf King's promise, Night Sorrow was very happy. Here, this is a gift for our visit. Please accept it. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and left it for the Heavenly Lord Wolf King. Then he left with Datura and Sandalwood. After sending off Night Sorrow and the other 2, the Heavenly Lord Wolf King stared at the wine on the table in a daze. 300,000 Saint Spirit stones and the Heavenly Tao Oath in exchange for a jar of wine. Master, you can't think of it this way. We did pay a price, but at least we survived. If they really wanted to kill us, the Wolf King sect would not be able to withstand it. The Battle God Palace and the Poison King Valley are examples. The survivor is king. The most important thing is that the Wolf King sect continues to stand strong, Zen-Yi said. The Heavenly Lord Wolf King nodded. He also understood that the Reincarnation World's allied forces led by Night Sorrow wanted to win. They did not want to kill at will. However, if anyone stood in their way, the Reincarnation World's allied forces would not hesitate to kill them. You stay here. I will talk to the 3 Sons Lord of Heaven and the Nanhua Lord of Heaven. An alliance is necessary. Otherwise, if Lord God who comes looking for trouble, we will be alone, the Heavenly Lord Wolf King said. The Nanhua Lord of Heaven was the Lord of Heaven of the Lu clan. Night Sorrow and the other 2 arrived at the place where the Qing Emperor and the others were waiting. Then the group returned to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Legit First Night Sorrow said that everything went smoothly and that he had received the compensation. You are always the one taking the risk. This time you can keep the resources. Don't share it, the Heavenly Lord Yuan Dao said when he saw Night Sorrow take out the storage ring. Yes. You were the one who came up with the strategy and took the risk. You should take some of the resources. Sima Tianqing also agreed. Take it. The Qing Emperor nodded. Night Sorrow smiled and accepted it. Then he explained the situation. Currently, there were 9 top forces in the Reincarnation World. The Martial God Palace and the Poison King Valley had been eliminated. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion, the Lu clan and the Wolf King sect had withdrawn from the Realm War. The Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate would not compromise. They were the leading forces in the Shenwu Great World. Therefore, they would not withdraw from the Realm War easily. They wanted to maintain their reputation. Other than the Zhanwu dynasty and the Fortune Gate, there were 2 other top forces that had not made a decision. They were the Heshi dynasty and the Zhongling Manor. Night Sorrow mentioned the Heshi dynasty. It was a dynasty that was affiliated to the Zhanwu dynasty. It was called the Heshi dynasty. One could tell which dynasty was more powerful from the name. The Heshi dynasty was an affiliated force, but it was very powerful. They were affiliated with the Zhanwu dynasty because they were no match for the Zhanwu dynasty. This force cannot be subdued or forced to retreat. We have to destroy it and break one of the claws of the Zhongwu dynasty. Night Sorrow said. Since we can't resolve it peacefully, we have to take it down. There's nothing to hesitate about. The Qing Emperor said. I think the Heshi dynasty will be prepared. Or rather, the Zhongwu dynasty will not let us succeed so easily. Night Sorrow said. That's true. You think about how to deal with it. Then we can discuss it. The Qing Emperor said. Actually, the main purpose of taking care of the Heshi dynasty is to kill the Heshi Heavenly Lord. We will have one less giant. For us, it will reduce the resistance of conquering the Shenwu city. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, you have a point. When do we take action? Sima Tianqing said. I plan to check out the Zhongling Manor's movements. At the same time, I plan to gather information about the Heshi dynasty. As long as we can confirm that the Heshi Heavenly Lord is in the Heshi dynasty and that there are no traps, we will kill him. Night Sorrow said. Everyone agreed with Night Sorrow's idea. Night Sorrow and Datura also set off. They wanted to check out the situation outside. After the two of them checked out the Zhongling Manor, they went to the Fortune Gate area near the Zhongling Manor. After taking care of the Zhongling Manor and the other two forces of the Heshi dynasty, their next target, Night Sorrow, was set at the Fortune Gate. Night Sorrow and Datura had both cultivated the leakless body. Their auras did not leak out, so they were not afraid of being detected. The two of them did not use the transmission array. Instead, they sneaked in through the city walls. Not long after they entered, Night Sorrow stopped. His expression became very serious. What's wrong with Night Sorrow? Datura asked, puzzled. There's an aura of the same origin as Little Kong. Night Sorrow turned to Datura and said. Third watch. Chapter 1408. What's going on? Datura was a little confused. Night Sorrow pulled Datura into a tea house and found a quiet private room. Then he used energy to set up a barrier. Then he explained the reason to Datura. Night Sorrow had two spatial treasures in his body, the space-time treasure pagoda and the dragon cauldron. Moreover, they both had artifact spirits. The two artifact spirits were very familiar with each other. At this moment, the dragon cauldron in Night Sorrow's clone told Night Sorrow that it had sensed an aura of the same origin as Shao Kong. Night Sorrow asked the dragon cauldron's artifact spirit to confirm again and again. The dragon cauldron told Night Sorrow that it was correct. Although there was a slight difference in aura, the mysterious aura was correct. What's going on? Isn't your main body using the space-time treasure pagoda? Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. That's right. I can confirm that the space-time treasure pagoda is with my main body. What does this mean? It means that the missing part of the space-time treasure pagoda that I've been searching for is here, in Fortune City. Night Sorrow was a little agitated because his train of thought in the profound heaven world was not right. Could it be the Fortune Immortal Pavilion? Datura also stood up. It's hard to say. I can confirm that the thing is here. Let's search for it first. If we can confirm what it is, it would be best if we can find it. Night Sorrow said. There might be some heavenly Tao artifacts in the Great Thousand Worlds, but very few possess them. Currently, Night Sorrow had only heard of them a few times. In the Heaven and Earth Pavilion of the Black-Yellow Great World, he heard the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World say that there was a heavenly Tao artifact in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. However, countless years had passed and no one had been able to obtain it. Also, why was Heavenly Lord Shenhu so strong? Why was he able to fight Datura, who had a high cultivation level, refined the soul cultivation liquid, and cultivated the not-leaking true body? It was because he had a heavenly Tao artifact, a soul defensive heavenly Tao artifact. The space-time pagoda was a divine artifact of the heavenly Tao, but it was damaged. Currently, it was only a support artifact. Night Sorrow naturally wanted to restore it. Night Sorrow and Datura slowly approached a certain direction under the guidance of the Dragon Cauldron's weapon spirit. After passing through the Fortune City Central District, Huang Xiaolong arrived at the Eastern District. After walking for a while, Night Sorrow saw a wild garden. However, he stopped in his tracks. Night Sorrow discovered that there was a large array here, a very high-level array. In addition, the Dragon Cauldron could sense that the Qi was nearby, but because of the array, it was unable to determine the location. Even though Night Sorrow was unwilling, he knew that he could only retreat. The array could be broken, but it would cause a huge commotion, and it could only be done when the Fortune Gate was annihilated. Night Sorrow pulled the confused Datura away. The two of them left the area and returned to the tea house where they had been chatting. Why did you stop? That array can't stop you, will kill whoever tries to stop us. Datura said. It's not appropriate, that would alert the enemy. If the other side is alerted, it will be very troublesome. We can't act rashly, and if we do, we must kill with one strike. Night Sorrow said. Datura thought for a moment and nodded. She knew that they could not act rashly because the missing part of the Heavenly Tao artifact was too important. Everything here is in order, looks like the Fortune Gate will fight to the end. The news we spread did not affect this place at all, let's go back. There's no need to continue watching. Night Sorrow did not intend to stay any longer. His purpose in coming here was to see the Fortune Gate situation, and he had already seen it clearly. On top of that, he also had a big harvest. He had been searching for the missing part of the space-time pagoda for a long time. Night Sorrow and Datura did not take the transmission array, and instead they left the city by the same route. The Bu Fong true body could conceal his presence from a distance, but it would not work if he was too close. Night Sorrow and Datura did not take the transmission array because there was a high possibility that Bai Taesong's avatar was guarding the area around the transmission array, and there was a possibility that they would be discovered if they appeared. After leaving the Fortune City, Night Sorrow set up a transmission array in a secluded area. The two of them used the transmission array to return to the Blue Eagle Mountain, and arrived at Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and said, I really didn't expect to find something like this. You've been searching for so long, it's about time for you to appear. Actually, we can gather our forces and kill our way over to find the item. Datura said. She was an impatient person. No, the overall situation of the World War is very important. Let's wait for news from the River West Dynasty first. After dealing with the River West Dynasty, only the Tsongling Manor is left. You and I have both seen that the Tsongling Manor is in a mess right now. As long as we kill the River West King, the Tsongling Manor will collapse on its own, and only the Fortune Gate and the Zhanwu Dynasty will be left. Although Night Sorrow was very anxious, he still had the upper hand in his heart, and did not plan to search for the Fortune Gate immediately. Datura nodded. She was anxious for Night Sorrow, but she also understood that Night Sorrow's thoughts were right, and his decision was also correct. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Datura, and told Datura that when attacking the Fortune Gate, only their own people could do it. Otherwise it would be difficult to distribute the spoils of war. He did not want to take advantage of the alliance, and he also had to put this matter on the table. We have enough people on our side to destroy the Fortune Gate. This matter can also be said clearly because the Fortune Gate is destined to be yours. Don't bring this matter up in the future, or you will have a bad reputation. Datura said. Yes, the Heavenly Tao artifact is very important to everyone. Although those big shots are very rational, if they have any thoughts in their hearts, they will not be harmonious. Night Sorrow was also worried because this was not an ordinary material resource. Let's talk to them later. We can't let go of this matter. Datura said. Alright, I will not ask the Alliance to help because this is my own matter. Night Sorrow stood up and led Datura to the big tent at the side of the camp. The two of you are back, have a cup of tea first. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang stood up and poured tea for Night Sorrow and Datura. Night Sorrow looked at the big shots in the tent and explained the situation of the Tsongling Manor and Fortune Gate. The Fortune Gate is also going, it is very dangerous. Qing Emperor's eyes were filled with worry because Fortune Gate Heavenly Monarch Bai Taesong was very strong, and was different from West River Heavenly Monarch. The Fortune Gate is preparing for war and they will not reconcile. Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of tea. So what? If they can't reconcile, then kill. They are the ones who started the World War, so we will beat them until they are convinced. Li Qianba's words were very direct. There is another thing that I want to tell everyone here today. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. What is it? Heavenly Monarch Yuan Dao nodded at Night Sorrow. The Heavenly Tao artifact that I have is incomplete and everyone knows that. I found another part during this trip and I will think of a way to get it back. This cannot be counted in the Alliance's resources, so I hope everyone can understand. Night Sorrow said directly. Then Sandalwood looked at Night Sorrow and made a decision. As a senior brother, he would help Night Sorrow in battle. But the fourth update has arrived. Today's update has been completed. Recently, my condition is not good, and I can only write one chapter after sitting in front of the computer for 4 to 5 hours. Please understand. Chapter 1409. Unseal? Don't worry, Master's wife and Master will also help you solve this problem. Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow, you're thinking too much. You have a part of the Heavenly Tao artifact, which means that you already have a fortuitous encounter. This time you discovered something that was predestined. We won't have any other thoughts and neither will I. When we fight, it's just a matter of convenience. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch said. That's right, you're thinking too much. You told us the truth, which means that you trust us. How can we betray your trust? Declare war on the Fortune Gate and solve this matter directly. We can do it at any time. Red Emperor nodded. Subsequently, everyone expressed their support. Then Night Sorrow won't be polite. After this matter is settled, there will be great rewards. Night Sorrow said. We have to work harder. After so many years, Night Sorrow already has the Heavenly Tao artifact, but we don't. Didn't Heavenly Monarch God Tiger have the Heavenly Tao artifact? Next time, don't let Dachira fight alone. Let's go together, chop him up, snatch his Heavenly Tao artifact and then draw lots. Whoever has the best luck will get the Heavenly Tao artifact. Li Tianba said while rubbing his hands. You've never had any good opinions, but this time I agree. Red Emperor said. Sure, we're all life forms from the world of reincarnation. Because we're about to win the world war, we're all blessed with luck. Maybe someone's luck has reached a critical point, and they have the luck to obtain the Heavenly Tao artifact. Sima Qianqing said with a smile. Everyone nodded. If there was a chance, everyone would try to grab it. If they couldn't grab it, then it was fine. If they could grab it, then their fates would change. Sima Qianqing suggested drinking wine to celebrate. Although the Heavenly Tao artifact wasn't completely in their hands, it would be easy to take down the Fortune Gate with so many overlords. After celebrating, Night Sorrow returned to his tent, followed by Dachira. Aluo, I feel that something is not right. You said that we are attacking one by one. The Shenwu Great World is very clear about this. Even if we are not united and are fighting for ourselves, the Zhanwu dynasty should not be so quiet. Now follow me. Night Sorrow had always felt that something was not right. Now he knew where the problem lay. Night Sorrow and Dachira once again returned to the Sky Pillar Tycoon's tent. Night Sorrow, why are you back? Misty Rain asked. Master, you gave the order to close the transmission array in the Samsara city. Now they are passively being attacked in the Shenwu Great World. It is impossible for them not to take action. If they are determined to find our station, they will definitely find it. Not to mention the fortune teller, they can even turn it upside down. But they didn't do so. Of course, they are not willing to fight to the death with us. Then there may be another reason. That is, they may have taken action in the Samsara world and forced us to drink. The realm war is over. Night Sorrow said his speculation. Yes, we have closed the transmission array in the Shenwu Great World. They don't have a transmission array in the Samsara world, but they can use the transmission array in the Xuanhuan Great World. Dachira's expression also changed. You guys talk first. I will go back and solve the problem. I will come back soon. Qing Emperor got up and left. This is my negligence. I hope it is not too late. Night Sorrow said. If the Shenwu Great World took action against the Samsara world, it would be difficult to defend. Not to mention other things, even if a few sky pillars went to the Samsara world to kill, the Samsara world would not be able to withstand it. This is unexpected. Looking at the situation, maybe they did not have time to make such arrangements. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao said. Night Sorrow nodded. He also hoped that this was the case. Recently it was quiet. The Shenwu Great World had been suppressed. It should not be like this. If it was him, he would also think of a strategy. Not good. Qing Emperor sent me a message. There is a battle. Misty Rain stood up. A battle? At this time, everyone in the command tent stood up and went to the transmission array. The transmission array teleported them to Black Demon City. After another turn, they arrived at Samsara City. The battle had already started in Samsara City. It was two sky pillars attacking the Qing Emperor. However, a square seal was hanging above the Qing Emperor's head. The square seal was emitting a green light, enveloping the Qing Emperor. The Qing Emperor was not at a disadvantage even though he was 1 against 2. Surround them and kill them. Night Sorrow shouted. These were two sky pillars. Night Sorrow recognized that one of them was Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, the third emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty. He was the one who made things difficult for the Qing Emperor at the Zhantan wedding. With Night Sorrow's command and the fact that it was a war, no one was polite. They attacked directly. There was no problem in killing two sky pillars. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the two were killed. However, they were not completely dead. They were just doppelgangers. When I came back and was about to take the transmission crystal, these two guys rushed out. So the battle started. If I was a step late, these two guys would have run out and started killing everywhere. We would have been in a passive position. The Qing Emperor said with some relief. Very good indeed. You came in time. Not only did you solve the problem, you also made a big profit by killing the doppelgangers of two sky pillars. Sima Tianqing said with a smile. Fortunately, if they left the transmission array and hid, we would have been in a passive position. The advantage we gained earlier would have been gone. Night Sorrow said. Your reaction was very timely. If they really entered the samsara world and started killing, we could only compromise. Do you think we don't care about the lives of the people in the samsara world? None of us can do that. The world war would have ended without a conclusion. Sima Tianqing said. Now that the world of reincarnation is stable, we can rest easy. This should be the clone of West River Heavenly Monarch. Although we didn't manage to kill their true bodies, we did manage to reduce their combat power. Now that the world of reincarnation is stable, we can focus all our energy on attacking them, said Yishan. Then Night Sorrow asked the guards of the transmission array. After confirming that there were no other people from the Shenwu Great World except for the fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven, he felt relieved. It's understandable that they wanted to come back when the situation was unclear. Now that the situation is tilted, they want to come back again. Why do we have to let them do what they want? Misty Rain snorted. She was angry that the two sky pillars were ganging up on the Qing Emperor. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Now, all the teleportation formations leading to the outside of Reincarnation Great World are closed. It's safe. We can fight outside without worry, said Yishang. Everyone nodded. They were glad that Night Sorrow reacted quickly. Otherwise they would have been in a passive position. In addition, the battle may be intense. They intend to open up all over the samsara world and negotiate with us to end the world war. Now that we have lost the qualification to do so, we must fight. We have to be careful. Our military camp must be on high alert. They may already know our location. Night Sorrow said. Speak. First update. Chapter 1410. Unsealed? Yes. If they want to find it, they will definitely find it. So we have to be careful. Qing Emperor nodded. Not only did the Reincarnation Great World have fortune tellers, but also the Shenwu Great World. It was possible for them to find out the general area through divination. I thought about this. We didn't move because I thought that after we destroyed the Martial Sacred Hall and the Poison King Valley, they wouldn't fight us head-on. Now it seems that I was too optimistic. Let's go back. Even if we don't move, we have to set up a defensive array, Night Sorrow said. Then Night Sorrow and the rest teleported back to the Blue Eagle Mountain in the Shenwu Great World. Back at the Blue Eagle Mountain, Night Sorrow started to set up the array. This time, not only did Night Sorrow help, but Qing Emperor and Sima Tianqing also helped. Both of them were advanced Heaven Adept Realm Array Masters. In a single day's time, the three great formations worked together, forming a horn formation, protecting the camp because they were worried that they would be caught off guard. Night Sorrow didn't dig a hole and activated the array directly. At this time, in the main hall of the Zhanwu dynasty, a few powerful figures were sitting. Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger's face was ugly because his avatar had been destroyed. Asterisk 3v asterisk his avatar had been destroyed, and it was equivalent to losing his life. Of course, he could continue to cultivate avatars with his original body around. However, nurturing an avatar of the Lord of Heaven level was very harmful to the soul. Besides, it couldn't be released in a short period of time. Nurturing an avatar of the Lord of Heaven level required a lot of energy. It was also very difficult to nurture it. Even if one had the comprehension of the realm, it would take a very long time because of the huge amount of energy required. Besides, the damage to the soul was also hard to recover. We were very unlucky. When we went out, we met Qing Shangjuan. Qing Shangjuan is the city lord of the Reincarnation City and has the city lord seal. West River Lord of Heaven, and I couldn't take him down instantly. In the end, he took the teleportation crystal on the teleportation array and informed his helpers. Lord of Heaven Fierce Flame recounted what had happened. We were unlucky. In the end, we were besieged by all their powerful figures. We couldn't even run, West River Lord of Heaven said with a pale face. The plan has failed. We can't use the safety of the world of samsara as a bargaining chip to end this realm war. Now what do you think? Heaven Lord Shinhu, who was sitting on the main seat, said. At this moment he was extremely frustrated. Even though his cultivation level was extremely high, he couldn't remain calm because the situation was out of his control. Big brother, from the looks of it, if nothing unexpected happens, we will lose this realm war, Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger said. In terms of the strength of our army, we are inferior to them. In terms of strength and numbers, we are also lacking. The situation is indeed very bad. Heaven Monarch Shenhu nodded. He had to admit the truth. 3 sons Heavenly Monarch, Nanhua Heavenly Monarch and Wolf King Heavenly Monarch are all cowards. They surrendered without even fighting. West River Heavenly Monarch cursed. These weaklings are really hard to deal with. According to the information from the spies, the 3 of them have already formed an alliance. That is to say, if we use force now, they will join forces to fight us. Heavenly Lord Shin, whose sense of helplessness was very strong. For many years, he had been able to do whatever he wanted. However, this time he was truly stumped. Big brother, let's see what Bai Taesong has to say. Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch glared and said. Normally they did not like Bai Taesong. Bai Taesong also did not give the Zhangwu dynasty any face. Then I will go and take a look. Also, ask our people to withdraw from the Divine Martial City. If they can't do it, let them destroy the Divine Martial City and scram. Heavenly Monarch Shin, who stood up and disappeared in a flash. Second brother, what does Big Brother mean? Why should we withdraw from the Divine Martial City? Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch was puzzled. At this stage of the realm war, only the Fortune Gate, Songling Manor and West River Dynasty are left. We are no longer able to fight against the reincarnation world. The outcome of the realm war is already decided. Blazing Flame Heavenly Monarch said. Although he was unwilling to admit it, it was the truth. Let's see what Bai Taesong has to say. If he is willing to fight with us, the situation will be better. After all, the reincarnation world is not willing to fight to the death. West River Heavenly Monarch said. Fierce Tiger Heavenly Monarch was angry, but it was useless to be angry. The situation was unforgiving. After Night Sorrow set up the defensive array, he continued to spread out the spies. Some were to gather information and some were to be on guard. Night Sorrow was not afraid of a battle. He was not afraid of any battle. Whether it was the army or the powerhouses, the reincarnation world had the absolute advantage. Night Sorrow realized that the light of virtue in his body was getting stronger. He knew that it was because the realm war was going well. News kept coming back. Looking at the information, Night Sorrow was puzzled. The Zhangwu dynasty and West River dynasty had withdrawn from the Divine Martial City. As the 2 forces withdrew from the Divine Martial City, the Songling Manor also withdrew. Only the Fortune Gates people were still in the Divine Martial City. Otherwise, the Divine Martial City would be empty. Night Sorrow was puzzled. After thinking about it, he felt that the Zhangwu dynasty had given up on the realm war after failing to launch a sneak attack on the reincarnation world. The West River dynasty was in the same boat as them. Naturally, they would withdraw as well. Night Sorrow felt that it was better to discuss with the powerhouses and see what they thought. When they reached the large tent where the sky pillar was resting, Yishang informed them of his arrival. Seeing no hope, they gave up on the Divine Martial City. They want us to win the realm war and leave as soon as possible. They know that we can't occupy the Divine Martial City for long. Sima Tianqing said. What do you all think? Night Sorrow asked. Your intentions are our intentions. The Crimson Emperor's attitude was very clear. Yuandao Heavenly Lord and the others nodded. Since Night Sorrow was the commander, they would definitely support him. They can admit defeat, but they have to compensate us. If they don't, we will continue to fight. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. You can make the arrangements. Qing Emperor nodded. Then wait and see. When the time is right, we will attack. Do you think that Songling Manor is fine? Wishful thinking. We will observe their attitude for a few days. If that Songling Manor doesn't make a suitable statement, we will attack and wipe them out. Night Sorrow didn't like that Songling Manor's attitude. He wanted to play dead. If you want to fight, you have to compensate. What's the point now? If he let them go, Night Sorrow would feel sorry for the Heavenly Moon Pavilion and the Wolf King sect. Yes, we are the ones in charge. If they have the temper to start a realm war with the reincarnation world, they have to give us an explanation. Datura said. Speak. The 2nd chapter has arrived. Thank you for unlocking the 4 chapters yesterday. Chapter 14:11. Unseal? I understand. Let's observe the situation for the next few days. I've also sent spies to the River West Dynasty. We'll know when the West River Heavenly Monarch returns. If there's a chance, we'll eliminate him first. He's thinking too much about causing trouble in the world of reincarnation. Night Sorrow said. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch and the others nodded. They supported Night Sorrow's decision. After explaining everything, Night Sorrow left the tent and went to the barracks to take a look at the various legions. Seeing that everyone was in high spirits, Night Sorrow felt reassured. This kind of legion could be brought to the battlefield at any time. Heavenly Monarch Shen, who arrived at the Fortune Gate. Although Bai Taesong didn't welcome him, he still received him. This was because the upcoming situation required them to work together. After forming an alliance, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu returned to the Zhanwu dynasty. We can only defend for now. West River Heavenly Monarch, it's hard to defend the River West dynasty's territory. Bring the core members to the Martial War City and return after the storm passes. If there's any damage, the Zhanwu dynasty will support the River West dynasty's reconstruction. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu said. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu had no choice but to make this decision. The Zhanwu dynasty only had 3 heavenly monarchs. They wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of the world of reincarnation. Hence, he needed to recruit helpers. Alright. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu nodded. If the world of reincarnation attacked the River West dynasty, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Hence, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's arrangement was suitable for him. After leaving the Zhanwu dynasty, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu arrived at River West City and began to make arrangements. He didn't know that the moment he stepped out of the transmission array, he was discovered by the furious Lin Army's spies. The spies immediately reported to Night Sorrow. Battle. Night Sorrow arrived at the Sky Pillar's tent and shouted. A group of people sat on the transmission array that Night Sorrow set up outside River West City and set off. Night Sorrow had secretly set up transmission arrays around the Divine Martial City, Martial War City, Songling Manor, Fortune City, and River West City to ensure that the battle could take place at any time. Heavenly Monarch Lu Xiang and Mistress Lu Xiang, destroy the transmission array. Don't give Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu and the others a chance to help. The rest of you surround them. After exiting the transmission array, Night Sorrow made arrangements. The group of people flew towards the City Lord's residence. West River Heavenly Monarch had sensed the arrival of a few Heaven Masters through an opportunity. Thus he rushed towards the teleportation array. However, by the time he arrived, he was already surrounded. What are you guys doing? Is it not enough to kill my avatar? With a loud roar, West River Heavenly Monarch crushed a messaging crystal. It was Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's messaging crystal. It's useless to ask for help. Heavenly Monarch Yufei waved her sword and destroyed all the teleportation crystals on the teleportation array. Is it enough to kill your avatar? First, you shouldn't have followed the Zhanwu dynasty to declare war on the reincarnation world. Then, you went to the reincarnation world a second time. You deserve to die. Don't waste your breath. Kill. Night Sorrow gave the order. Since Sandalwood had made her move, the other Sky Pillars of Reincarnation World were just spectators. As long as Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu doesn't run, no one was willing to surround him. 9 Genuine, Sandalwood was one of the top Sky Pillars of Reincarnation World. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, who had just lost his avatar, was no match for her. Be it in terms of willpower or energy, he was completely suppressed. In just a few moments, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu was killed. Sandalwood tossed Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu's storage ring and weapons to Night Sorrow. Let's go. Loot the City Lord's residence. Let's go back and solve another problem. Night Sorrow was very satisfied with the outcome. After looting the resources of the City Lord's residence, Night Sorrow left with his men on the transmission array. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu, and Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu stood motionless in front of the transmission array. The transmission crystal to River West City was black. It's too late. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu is probably dead. So be it. We've lost. This realm war is really a shame. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu went forward and took all the transmission crystals, leaving only the one connected to Fortune City. He then floated into the air and waved his arms continuously. He threw out Saint Spirit stones at the plaza near the City Lord's residence. As Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu threw out his energy surged in every corner of Battle Tiger City. The rolling energy enveloped Battle Tiger City. Heavenly Monarch Shen Hu had no choice but to activate the Great City Barrier Array. Big brother. Is this it? Heavenly Monarch Shen, who was unwilling to give up. His avatar had been killed. Third brother, we can't do this. None of their heavenly monarchs are dead. Look at the situation of our Shenwu great world. Regardless of whether we admit it or not, we have lost. Heavenly Monarch Shenhu sighed. Third brother, given the current situation, big brother and second brother can't help you. We have to get through this first. There will be plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. As long as the Zhanwu dynasty doesn't fall, we can do whatever we want in the future. Heavenly Monarch Shenhu said. Heavenly Monarch Shenhu nodded. He had no choice in this situation. The news of the Zhanwu dynasty sealing the city spread quickly. The Zhongling Manor was in a mess. The manor lord, Heavenly Monarch Zhongling, was anxious. What was he going to do now that the Zhanwu dynasty had retreated? The martial war city was sealed because of the Zhanwu dynasty's countless years of accumulation. In addition, Heavenly Monarch Shenhu was half an overlord. Therefore, he had the ability to set up the Great City Barrier Array. However, the Zhongling Manor couldn't. After hesitating for a while, Heavenly Monarch Zhongling gritted his teeth and ordered the various city gates to post notices saying that they were willing to pay compensation and withdraw from the World War. Night Sorrow knew that the Zhongling Manor wouldn't be able to hold on if the martial war city was sealed. After receiving the news, Night Sorrow greeted Qing Emperor and the rest. He decided to go to the Zhongling Manor and take care of as many people as he could. Night Sorrow didn't want anyone to follow him. He wasn't afraid of Heavenly Monarch Zhongling. However, Sandalwood and Dachira still followed him. When the three of them arrived at the Zhongling Manor, Heavenly Monarch Zhongling appeared. He cupped his hands and greeted the three of them before welcoming them into the manor. Commander Knight, the Zhongling Manor has also decided to withdraw from this world war. We won't stop the reincarnation world from attacking the Shenwu city. Heavenly Monarch Zhongling said. Stop them? Can you stop him? Sandalwood didn't stand on ceremony as she rebutted Heaven Monarch Zhongling. Ha! I have heard of the Blood Emperor's name. This is the 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones from the Zhongling Manor as an apology for attacking the reincarnation world. Heavenly Monarch Zhongling took out a storage ring and placed it on the table in front of Night Sorrow. You are very well informed. However, the timing is not right. Is it okay for others to pay 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones? If the Zhongling Manor doesn't pay 300,000 Saint Spirit Stones, then we will fight. Night Sorrow said coldly. Why? Heavenly Monarch Zhongling didn't understand. His face turned ugly. The timing is not right. You wanted to fight to the end. However, the Zhanwu dynasty sealed the city to protect themselves. You have no one to rely on. Therefore you decided to withdraw. Now that you have no one to rely on, do I have to make all the decisions? Night Sorrow's words became sharp. Speak. The third update has arrived. Chapter 14:12. Unseal? 600,000 is a little too much. Heavenly Lord Zhongling said bitterly. 700,000 then. Dachira, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke up. I can't afford that. Heavenly Lord Zhongling looked at Dachira in shock. Since you don't want face, how about 800,000 then? You can try to bargain. If you bargain one more time and lose 1 million Saint Spirit Stones, your Zhongling Manor will be destroyed. Dachira's words were filled with killing intent. She didn't want to waste any more words with Heavenly Lord Zhongling. Heavenly Lord Zhongling didn't say anything. He was far from being a match for Huang Xiaolong. Just say it. Are you going to pay me 800,000 or not? Dachira asked coldly. If he didn't pay up, she would fight him directly. Here. Heavenly Lord Zhongling sighed when he saw the battle intent on Dachira's body. He didn't have any room to bargain. If he said anything else, Dachira would attack. Dachira and Heavenly Lord Shenhu were evenly matched. He naturally couldn't afford to offend Dachira. What made him angry was that he had to pay 200,000 Saint Spirit Stones for talking too much. Heavenly Lord Zhongling took out another storage ring and passed it to Night Sorrow. After checking it, Night Sorrow nodded and made Heavenly Lord Zhongling swear that he would no longer participate in the World War. Only then did he leave with Dachira and Sandalwood and return to the Blue Eagle Mountain. Night Sorrow heaved a sigh of relief after passing the storage ring to Jun Xuanji for him to distribute it to the various legions. Currently, only the Zhanwu dynasty and Fortune Gate are left to go against us. There's a total of 4 powerhouses, so the pressure isn't that great. That's right. We can start the final battle at any time. When do you plan to act? Dachura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Long time x free q fz % look / say, there's no hurry. The world war can't end prematurely. Once it ends, many things can't be done. The Zhanwu dynasty actually doesn't want to fight anymore. The fact that they sealed the city proves this point. Once we take down the divine martial city, the world war will end. If we continue to fight, we won't be righteous. Night Sorrow said. When are we going to take down the fortune gate? The things Junior Brother needs are there. Sandalwood said. Sandalwood of Night's matters. She cared about Night Sorrow's matters. We'll make our move after we gather enough information. I feel that all the other forces have retreated except for the fortune gate, so they must have some kind of confidence, but I don't know what kind of confidence they have. Yishan shook his head. Dachura and Sandalwood didn't say anything else. Night Sorrow's analysis was reasonable. The fortune gate style was indeed more unyielding than the Zhanwu dynasty. The Zhanwu dynasty had sealed the city, but the fortune gate was still the same. All the other forces had retreated from the divine martial city, but they didn't. Confidence? Where did this confidence come from? Yishan was a little puzzled. If he couldn't figure it out, then he would wait. Yishan wasn't in a hurry either. At this time, in a large garden on the east side of Fortune City, Bai Taisong was sitting in the main seat, and below him were several old men. At this time, Bai Taiching was holding a wine glass in his hand and spinning it in his hand. Gate Master, everything is ready. As long as the reincarnation world's troops enter the divine martial city, we can start the battle. One of the old men said. He was the Fortune Gate's Grand Elder, Bai Taifeng. He was also the grandfather of Bai Yun, who had attacked Night Sorrow in the Ice Dragon world. Good. All along, the Shinwu Great World had been dominated by the Zhanwu dynasty. This time it will change completely. After we deal a heavy blow to the reincarnation world's allied forces, we will suppress the divine martial dynasty and become the #1 force in the Shinwu Great World. Bai Taisong drank the wine in his hand. At this time, Bai Taisong was wearing a golden armor called the Sky-Piercing Armor. It was obtained by Bai Taisong in the divine martial battling heaven. Its level surpassed that of a monarch artifact. It was an armor nurtured by the Shinwu Great World's origin. The weapon used by Night Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Sealing Hall was made from the divine weapon chi of the 9 domains origin. The reincarnation artifact also advanced through the divine weapon chi. At that time, the 9 domains world's level was still relatively low. Therefore, it was nurtured by the king artifact. However, the Shinwu Great World was different. It was a treasure nurtured by the origin of the 9 domains world for countless years. Naturally, it was stronger. Night Sorrow's reincarnation artifact had been nurtured in the divine sea while his main body was cultivating. It was already extremely sharp. The sky-piercing armor surpassed the top king artifact. It was a monarch artifact, but it was not a 9th grade monarch artifact. However, Bai Taisong had tested it himself. After he activated the sky-piercing armor, he could not break through its defense with his own weapons. Therefore he was very confident. As for soul defense, he had cultivated a soul defense technique before. Therefore he was very confident. Both his physical body and soul had an extremely strong defense which could prevent a lot of damage. Moreover, he also had another defensive treasure, the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. After obtaining the sky-piercing armor, Bai Taisong had actually obtained the approval of the Shinwu Great World's origin. He could become the divine martial city's city lord at any time. However, he felt that the time was not ripe yet. Therefore he did not provoke the heavenly monarch Shinhu. Although he was strong, the Zhanwu dynasty had 3 emperor lords. There was also the West River heavenly monarch who ran errands for them. If they fought to the death, it would not benefit the Fortune Gate. However, this time Bai Taisong felt that the time was right. It was time for the Fortune Gate to rise and dominate the Shinwu Great World. Some of the methods that were originally prepared for the Zhanwu dynasty could now be used on the allied forces of the world of reincarnation. That was, he had set up a formation in the divine martial city. The formation had not been activated yet. It was the same in the Fortune City. There was also a killing formation. Both formations had not been activated. Bai Taisong would activate them wherever he felt that they were needed. The core of the formation was the Fortune Immortal Pavilion. In the Fortune Gate and even in the entire Shinwu Great World, everyone only knew that Bai Taisong had a treasure. However, only Bai Taisong knew that he was helpless. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion had been by his side for a very long time, but it had never been able to recognize him as its master. It could only be used, but it could not be telepathically connected. This situation made Bai Taesong very confused. The Fortune Immortal Pavilion did not have a weapon spirit. It also did not have its own consciousness, but it rejected him. However, even if it could not recognize him as its master, it had still brought him great benefits. It had seized the fortune of heaven and earth, allowing him to cultivate from a saint king to a king, a monarch, and finally a giant. Looking at Bai Taesong in deep thought, Bai Taifeng and the others did not speak. After thinking for a while, Bai Taesong raised his head. You all get ready. If there is a situation, inform me immediately. Activate the formation. My defense is invincible. What can they do to me? Only I can kill them. Bai Taesong's face was filled with murderous intent. Night Sorrow had been sorting out the news every day. He was very puzzled. What exactly did he miss? Why was Bai Taesong so confident? There must be something that he did not know. Therefore he was not anxious. If he did not investigate anything, he would not take action. Now that the overall situation was in the world of reincarnation, he had nothing to be afraid of. Qing Emperor and the others all supported Night Sorrow's steadiness. What they admired was Night Sorrow's steadiness and the overall situation. Speak. The fourth update is here. Today's update is complete. Chapter 14-13. Doctor/equals unsealing expert. The leaders of the reincarnation world knew that the Fortune Gate had something that Night Sorrow desperately needed. Even so what? Night Sorrow was as steady as Mount Tai. He was waiting for the enemy to make a mistake. Many people in the Shinwu Great World didn't understand what was going on. They didn't know what the Fortune Gate and the reincarnation world's allied forces were up to. Based on the strength of the reincarnation world's allied forces, taking down the Fortune Gate and Divine Martial City would be as easy as flipping a hand. The Fortune Gate side was also very strange. Their way of doing things was hard to understand. The Fortune Gate was very strong, but it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot from the reincarnation world's allied forces. Even so, the Fortune Gate stood firm. In the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch was talking to Lin Qingyi. He was asking about the situation of the captives in the reincarnation world. Qingyi, since you've taken over the captives, you have to manage them well. If they revolt, the reincarnation world will blame it on us. We have an undeniable responsibility. The Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch said. Lin Qingyi nodded. Master, I understand. The captives in the reincarnation world are closely related to the Heavenly Moon Pavilion. If they cause trouble, I'll be blamed. That's the same as dragging the Heavenly Moon Pavilion down. I know that some of them have avatars that will be affected by the Shinwu Great World. They might revolt. That's why I've invited 2 legions from the reincarnation world to surround the captives' camp. Whoever dares to cause trouble will only have themselves to blame. You're very insightful. The waters in the Shinwu Great World are still very murky. If you're not careful, you might be consigned to eternal damnation. Heavenly Monarch Shin, who is usually noisy, but the one who hides the deepest, is Bai Taesong. However, Night Sorrow of the reincarnation world isn't someone to be trifled with either. There will be an intense battle coming up, the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch said. Is Bai Taesong that powerful? Lin Qingyi asked in surprise. Yes, I suspect that he obtained great benefits in the Divine Martial Battle Hall. Back then, there was a battle armor in the Divine Martial Battle Hall, and many big shots went in to try it out. Back then, I went there as well. After I failed, Bai Taesong went. After that, I coincidentally made a breakthrough and planned to try again. However, the armor had already been cleared and taken away by someone. That person is most likely Bai Taesong, said the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch. That is to say, Bai Taesong's actual combat strength is even stronger than Heaven Lord Shinhu? Lin Qingyi's eyes were filled with astonishment. For countless years, Lord of Heaven Shin, who had been known as the #1 expert in Shinwu Great World. Heavenly Monarch Shin, who is the City Lord of Divine Martial City. Does he have the City Lord seal? No, Bai Taesong doesn't reveal himself. He might be the person who has the City Lord seal of Divine Martial City. Of course, this is just my guess, said the Three Suns' Heavenly Monarch. Master's guess is very likely to be true. If not, Bai Taesong wouldn't be so confident. It seems that the realm war in the world of reincarnation won't be so easy to win, said Lin Qingyi. It's hard to say. Everyone has their own trump cards. If you underestimate anyone, you will be the one at a disadvantage. Perhaps Bai Taesong is strong and has been hiding for many years to explode. However, the world of reincarnation has already been established. It won't be that easy to break through. Bai Taesong is also a despicable person. If he had the ability, he would have stood up earlier and led the Shinwu Great World to fight against the world of reincarnation. Perhaps the realm war would have been stabilized, but what about him? In pursuit of personal fame, he wants to turn the tide. It's hard to say what the outcome will be. The Three Sons' heavenly monarch laughed coldly. He was one of the few people who knew about Bai Taesong. Let's wait and see who is the most ruthless. However, I still think that Night Sorrow has a higher chance of winning. The others are the commanders of the world of reincarnation's allied forces. It's hard to say what the outcome will be because the origin of the Shinwu Great World will affect them. However, Night Sorrow is a virtuous sage. The origin of the world can't just bully him, right? The origin of the world would rather lose the realm war than go against the heavenly Tao, said Lin Qingyi. That's the logic. Let's just wait and see. If we form an alliance with the Wolf King sect and the Lu family, we will be able to stabilize the situation. I think that Songling Villa will make the same choice. No matter who has the upper hand, we don't care. My goal is to keep this place safe, said the Three Sons' heavenly monarch. Lin Qingyi nodded her head. She had followed the Three Sons' heavenly monarch for many years and understood him well. The Three Sons' heavenly monarch didn't like to fight for power or fame. This time he had only participated in the realm war because the origin of the Shinwu Great World had called for him. However, he ended up in a quagmire, and it was difficult for him to extricate himself from it. The Shinwu Great World had stabilized and some of the powers had also stabilized. However, the atmosphere was still tense. The Divine Martial City and Fortune City were filled with killing intent. Everyone knew that the world of reincarnation's allied forces and the Fortune Gate were about to go all out. This made many people puzzled. However, no one was a fool. They all knew that the Fortune Gate must have some kind of trump card that could resist the world of reincarnation's allied forces. At the same time, many people were cursing. If the Fortune Gate had the ability, why didn't you come out earlier? You waited until the other powers were either destroyed or forced to retreat before coming out. Go. However, Bai Taesong didn't care. He sat in the Divine Martial City and waited for the world of reincarnation to attack. Night Sorrow placed his spies in the Divine Martial City and Fortune City. He wanted to find out what was going on. As long as he could win the realm war, Night Sorrow felt that time wasn't a problem. A month later, a member of the secret guards found some clues. He found traces of an array foundation in the Divine Martial City. In other words, he found an energy point. The array hadn't been activated yet. Night Sorrow understood that Bai Taesong had set up a huge trap for the world of reincarnation's allied forces to jump into. The power of an array formation was unpredictable. No one dared to say what kind of power it could unleash. Night Sorrow made a decision to break the array formation before it was activated. He wanted to break it silently. Night Sorrow told the Qing Emperor and the others about his idea. Then the Qing Emperor and Sandal followed Night Sorrow. The Qing Emperor was very skilled in array formations. He could help Night Sorrow solve some problems with the array formation. Sandal could help protect him. Sima Tianqing was also a high-level heavenly master realm array master. However, he didn't cultivate the leakless true body. He couldn't hide his aura and would be detected in advance. When they reached the periphery of the Divine Martial City, Night Sorrow and the Qing Emperor checked a few areas. They sensed the energy hidden underground. It's the Great Chaotic Heaven Array. It's mainly used for killing. The Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and said, I also feel that the killing aura of the array formation is very strong. Master, can we change the structure of the array formation without triggering it and make Bai Taesong's plan fail? Night Sorrow asked. He didn't understand the Great Chaotic Heaven Array that the Qing Emperor mentioned. It's a big project. However, we have time. We can slowly break this array formation. By then he will have one less trump card. The Qing Emperor said. Then, under the guidance of the Qing Emperor, Night Sorrow followed the Qing Emperor. The two of them started to break the array. All of this happened without anyone noticing. Speak. First watch. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.